Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much, dear devotees, for once again assembling here on our sixth session on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. Before I begin, I'd like to share my screen so that all of us can see the slides. Thank you very much once again, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, for kindly hosting the session. I'm very thankful also to Param Karuna Prabhu for kindly being the co-host. And I'm thankful to each and every one of you who are kindly listening to the series of talks on Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. This is the sixth session. And before we continue, I'd like to offer the freshly composed verse for this verse of Śikṣāṣṭakam. And the verse is in front of us. Śikṣāṣṭakamritabdhau yo majjan majjayati svakan sagaurangastatastham mam kadabdhau krakshyati swayam. Śikṣāṣṭakamritabdhau yo majjan, while drowning himself, majjayati svakan sagaurangas. Shri Gauranga simultaneously causes his near and dear ones to drown in the nectar of Shri Siksastakam. Tatastham mam, I am a mere bystander waiting at the shore. Tada abdhau krakshati swayam. When will Shri Gauranga forcibly pull me in that nectar ocean? Dear devotees, we are discussing the first verse of Shri Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. But before we begin, a quote by Sachidananda Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Mahashay. Dear devotees, in every session, I'd like to give a quote from a previous Acharya or from Srila Prabhupada. Dear devotees, here is a very important quote from Sachidananda Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Mahashay, where he says something. This is recorded in Sri Bhakti Vinod Vani Vaibhav. He says, initially, one should situate oneself in a solitary place and chant Harinam in a focused manner for a very short duration. Gradually, by increasing the quantity of such Harinam, consistency in chanting and diminishing of materialistic obstacles will certainly occur. Here is the original Bangla for the same, and the English is translated from the original Bangla. So dear devotees, he is saying initially. Initially means when one is a very new devotee. When one is a very new devotee, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's recommendation is not to immediately jump to a very big quantity. He says one should first and foremost situate oneself in one place and chant Harinam in a focused manner for a short duration. Actually, he says very short duration. He says in the original it says Ati Alpakal. Ati Alpakal means very short duration of time. One should first and foremost learn the art of focusing on Harinam. Often, Srila Prabhupada used to say, chanting means you hear and you listen. So, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's recommendation is that we begin with a small quantity and we practice this art of hearing and listening to the Mahamantra. And gradually, then we go on increasing the quantity. Often what happens is a devotee starts with a less number of rounds, but often this aspect is not stressed that one should chant in a solitary place in a focused manner. And then when this aspect is not emphasized, inattentive chanting gradually becomes the norm. And with that inattentive chanting, one keeps on increasing quantity. And then gradually what happens is the quantity keeps increasing. but there is no culture of focusing on Harinam right from the beginning. And because there is no culture of focusing on Harinam right from the very beginning, because such a culture was not put into place properly, therefore what happens is that even though one may be chanting a significant quantity of rounds, still the quality does not come. And because the quality does not come, it becomes very difficult to advance on the path of Harinam. And then gradually, sometimes it becomes a quantity game. And when that happens, gradually some people start regretting, why did I take upon such a big quantity of chanting Harinam? And then gradually you may find some of them also lose taste and lose interest. So dear devotees, just as in the Upadeshamritam, Sri Rupa Goswami had explained that Harinam is comparable to a medicine, Ayurvedic Aushadhi. And gradually one has to take medicine according to a certain quantity. And gradually, when you get taste in that sugar candy, then you can start eating sugar candy regularly. But developing that initial taste is very important, very important. This also reminds me of a particular person who was force-fed milk in his childhood. So often when people are force-fed something, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, what happens to people who are force-fed something in childhood?
They dislike it.
They dislike it. So that person, throughout his life, he did not like anything related to milk. But when that particular person had a child, he took a decision that he will introduce milk in very small quantities to the child. Maybe 1 spoon, 1 tablespoon first. And then when the child naturally has some taste for that milk, then quantity will increase gradually. The child will itself ask for more milk. So that is a very natural and organic method of increasing taste in any object in the world. What to speak of increasing taste in Harinam. So this natural and organic method, I strongly believe, should be taken up by those devotees who wish to train new devotees and who wish to sustain them over a long duration of time. It's a very important quote, and the application has effects which can, make somebody's spiritual life or break somebody's spiritual life if it is not done properly. So this very important quote by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Mahasaya. Therefore, I wanted to give this quote today. Next time, I'll try to show a quote from Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj about Harinam. So there are quotes coming from various sadhus about chanting Harinam, and this makes the presentation very authentic because we are getting all the wisdom from all the directions in our spiritual life. So dear devotees, once again, we are on the first verse, and I will sing the first verse again. Cheto darpanam bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam Śreyah kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadhu jivanam Anandambudhivardhanam pratipadam Purnamritasvadanam Sarvatmasnaparam varam vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. This, dear devotees, is the first verse. We have seen the word for word previously, but Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, can you kindly read the translation?
It cleanses the mirror of the consciousness, eradicates the massive wildfire of material existence, causes a moonlight diffusion that blooms the night water lily of all-round auspiciousness, becomes the life and soul of the newlywed bride of all divine knowledge, swells the ocean of joy, causes an experience of complete nectarian bliss in each successive syllable as well as word, and thoroughly cleanses the entirety of one's self. That entity named Sri Krishna Sankirtan reigns supremely victorious.
Wonderful. So Dear devotees, this is the first verse and we are focusing upon the second term, bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam. In the previous session, we saw the various commentators explain how Shri Krishna Sankirtanam eradicates the massive wildfire of material existence. Especially, we got a very clear message, the meaning of the term Dāvāgni or Mahā-Dāvāgni. So the previous commentator, Sri Radha Govindanath, had made it very clear that the threefold miseries, Adhidaivik, Adhibhautik, and Adhyatmik, is the Dāvāgni, is the wildfire in which the Jiva is experiencing the feeling of burning. Dear devotees, in other words, the miseries that one suffers in this world are the great wildfire. And Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, it acts as a rain cloud which extinguishes this wildfire, and this was specified in the previous session, dear devotees. Now, we have to understand something from Srila Rupa Goswami. How do miseries come into our lives? Because we have to destroy miseries by execution of Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So, Sri Rupa Goswami is going to tell us how miseries come in our lives, whether we are in the human species of life or whether we are in animal species of life. In any species of life, miseries are inevitable. Srila Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Kleshastu papam tad bijam avidya cheti te tridha. He says kleshas, miseries are threefold. First and foremost, pap, what we are experiencing. This is sinful reactions. And this is what is being compared to Dāvāgni, Mahā-Dāvāgni, great burning wildfire. But why does pap arise? Pap arises because we have the bij, the seed or cause of pap. And what is that? The previous karma, the previous vasana or tendencies. This is what has led to the forest. If there was no seed, there would be no tree. If there would be no tree, there would be no burning. So it is burning, and that burning is the sinful reaction. But that burning, that is pap, is because of bij. Because we have performed some karma in the past, which is causing us to suffer in a certain way. And that karma we have performed because we have some vasana, some tendencies. And all of this karma and vasana, the tendencies to perform karma and actually performing karma, is because avidya. Root cause of the tendency to perform karma, dear devotees, is avidya. So Sri Rupa Goswami has made this sequence. Avidya leads to tendency of performing karma, which is also known as planting the seed. And once we plant the seed, then obviously some fruit is going to arise out of it, and that fruit is phala, or also we call it papa phala. And then we are experiencing suffering because of that karma we performed in the past, and we performed that karma because we had avidya. We have beginningless avidya, beginningless ignorance of Bhagavan. Now, avidya we dealt with when we discussed Cheto Darpana Marjanam, because that is the one function of Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, is to drive away avidya. When we were discussing the first phrase, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, it cleanses the mirror of the heart. So basically, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying that Shri Krishna Sankirtanam deals with the avidya aspect. Once avidya is taken care of, how is avidya driven away? Because Shri Krishna Sankirtan, Shri Krishna's name, forms, qualities, pastimes are vidya. They are true vidya. So they drive away avidya. So avidya is taken care of in the first phrase itself, Cheto Darpan Marjanam. But what about the karma that we have already performed in the past before we started removing avidya? All that stockpile karma is remaining, and some of it is giving phala, is giving result. So this is where the second phrase comes into play, bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam. Bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam means Sri Krishna Sankirtanam will also take care of the karma and the results of the karma. It has the capacity to destroy this. So the first two terms, Cheto Darpana Marjanam and Bhava Mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam, they are taking care of this entire cycle of negativity that has pervaded our existence since beginningless time. So this Sri Krishna Sankirtanam will also ensure that karma is destroyed and the fruits of karma are also minimized or entirely destroyed. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, a very simple question. Do you feel that even after performing Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, after getting initiated, do you feel that misery still play a part in the life of a devotee?
Yes.
All right. So devotees also have experience of miseries, although it is claimed here that Shri Krishna Sankirtanam burns away, it extinguishes the burning fire, wildfire of material suffering. So we have to understand in what way does Shri Krishna Sankirtanam extinguish that particular fire? And we also have to understand why is it that devotees sometimes still continue to appear to be suffering despite the fact that they are executing Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. For that, dear devotees, we have to understand that although Shri Krishna Sankirtanam is proclaimed as bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam, that it eradicates the massive wildfire of material existence, and so many devotees have been performing Sankirtan for so many hundreds of years since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Even before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many devotees were performing Krishna Sankirtanam. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inaugurated a specific type of Sankirtan in which there is prominence of the mood of Sri Radha. That's all right. Almost more than 500 years since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Still today, there are wars, floods, diseases, and natural calamities. There are children being kidnapped and sold into slavery right as we are speaking. As we are speaking, these things are happening in the world. There are, on an individual level, some people are experiencing loss of relationships. Some people are experiencing a breakdown of family structure. Some other people are suffering through financial struggles. And if nothing else, then there are the so-called religions which have terrorist ideologies rooted in them, which are ensuring that other people in the world don't stay peacefully. So, if Shri Krishna Sankirtanam looks like this, like a rain cloud, which extinguishes the great forest fire of material existence, why is it so that all these things are still existing despite Shri Krishna Sankirtanam being performed by so many devotees over past, hundreds of years, centuries? And we can say that, of course, we don't have the purity, but there were so many other devotees who have the purity. We have confidence in the purity of other devotees. The previous acharyas who came before us. We have confidence in their purity that their Shri Krishna Sankirtanam was certainly pure. And despite this, there are so many issues. So does this image look like a proper representation of bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam? Does Shri Krishna Sankirtanam extinguish the forest fire of the entire world, or does it extinguish the forest fire of those who participate in it? So this question is very important. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, does Shri Krishna Sankirtanam work for a non-participant, or does it work for a participant?
It works for a participant.
Yes. So it works for a participant. There are many people who have never participated in Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. We devotees hope And we sincerely hope that each and every living entity will get an opportunity to participate in Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. But despite our best efforts, the arrangement of providence is such that there are so many people who never get a chance to participate in serious Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Of course, they may be walking on a street side and then they may see some Hare Krishnas chanting and dancing on the road and they may say Hare Krishna. And they may, maybe some of them may get enthusiastic and dance for some time. This is a beginning for their spiritual life. But serious Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, which the commentator last time, Sri Radha Govindanath said, prolonged rainfall, continuous rainfall, incessant rainfall, that is not happening within their lives. So those devotees who are performing prolonged, incessant, continuous Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, for them, the effects of extinguishing the great forest fire are seen. So a better representation is this, dear devotees. This looks like a better representation of bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam. So it was necessary to show the previous illustration because that is the image we have in our mind. That Sri Krishna Sankirtanam will extinguish the entire material world's burning. But that Sri Krishna Sankirtanam will not go against the fundamental nature of the material world, which is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Shri Krishna Sankirtanam will not flip the nature of the material world upside down. But for those who are participating in Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, of course, for them, a protective shield is made possible within this world. Just today, I was at another program and I asked the devotees a very particular question. How many devotees feel that their sufferings have greatly reduced ever since they came in contact with devotees and began the process of Krishna Bhakti? So almost all of them raised their hands and said, yes, the miseries that we are experiencing in our lives have tremendously reduced. Tremendously reduced. I also say another thing. Many devotees might have noticed this. Some may have forgotten because it's many years since they became devotees. But before we become devotees, there are many individuals who suffer through nightmares. While sleeping, they have nightmares. But after they become a devotee, with just a little bit of practice of devotional service, in most of the devotees, the nightmares practically disappear. And nightmares, by the way, in the Vedanta Sutra, they are given as small tokens of negative reactions. Small tokens of negative reactions. Nightmares are nothing but small tokens of negative reactions. So in the case of most devotees, even nightmares are not seen. Which means that Shri Krishna Sankirtanam is a direct proof. You can verify it in your own lives. And devotees should ask themselves this question: when was the last time I saw a nightmare? When was the last time I saw a nightmare? And maybe some may say maybe 1 year ago or 2 years ago, but it happens very rarely, if at all. It's nothing compared to what the suffering that materialistic non-devotees experience in the world outside. After we become devotees, after we come under the rain cloud of Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, somehow we tend to forget that feeling of burning which was being experienced while we were non-devotees. So because of that, we sometimes forget what suffering it was, how avidya was actually suffering, how avidya genuinely caused so much suffering, because non-devotees suffer and they don't know that there is something in the afterlife, that there is something to aspire for in the afterlife. And most of them don't even know that there's an afterlife. And to suffer in that way, in American slang, it says, life sucks and then you die. It says like that. So that's what life is all about for non-devotees, isn't it? Huh? So once you become a devotee, then the rain cloud of Sri Krishna Sankirtanam start showering, gradually, dear devotees, we may forget what it was to burn in that forest fire. But once in a while, we should try to remember those times. So a question arises for those devotees who are practicing Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, who are executing Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. At what stage do material miseries start vanishing? And is it only by kirtan? Is it not by other practices of bhakti? So this question is very important. At what stage do material miseries start disappearing? And is it only kirtan? Can they not disappear by shravan, smaran, archanam, etc.? So this is very important for us to understand. Bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam happens at which stage of bhakti? And does it happen only by sankirtanam or kirtanam? In reply to this, it is specified by Shri Vyasadeva in the Srimad Bhagavatam that it's not that it happens only through kirtan. Through all acts of Uttama Bhakti, it is possible to destroy material miseries. Bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam is not exclusive to Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Smaranam, Shravanam can also cause. For Parikshit Maharaj, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, for Parikshit Maharaj, did Parikshit Maharaj perform any kirtan? Or did he perform Shravan?
He performed Shravan.
But did his Shravan lead to the destruction? Did it lead to Bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam for him?
Yes.
Yes. So it is very important for us to understand that Bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam can happen through all acts of Uttama Bhakti. Shri Vyasadeva says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sharira manasa divya vayyase ye cha manusha bhautikascha katham klesha badhante hari samshrayam. This is a conversation between Maitreya Muni and Shri Vidur. He says, Vayyase, O Vidur, katham klesha. How can calamities caused by Sharira, body, Manasa, mind, Divya, and higher controlling deities? He is referring to the three types of miseries: Adhi Bhautik, Adhi Daivik, Adhyatmik. So, Sharira, Manasa, Divya, those which is caused by one's own body or mind, those which are caused by higher controlling deities, and Bhautikas, those which are caused by material nature. Katham klesha badhante. Hari samshrayam. So how can all these calamities give trouble to one who is sheltered under Shri Hari? So simply accepting shelter of Bhagavan Hari is sufficient for beginning Bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam, for beginning it. And all of us, those who are progressing on the path, we have begun extinguishing that fire. Sometimes some flame or the other still manages to reach us, and we feel that burning sensation but still we have to understand that Bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam has begun for those of us who have begun the process of Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Now, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan also gives the same conclusion in his Govinda Bhashya on Vedanta Sutra. In the Govinda Bhashya on Vedanta Sutra, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan dedicates a separate adhikaran. Adhikaran is an entire section in which a new Siddhanta is being revealed. So this adhikaran in Vedanta Sutra, this section is called Aniyama-adhikaranam. Aniyama-adhikaranam, this sutra in Vedanta Sutra, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan first explains the background of the sutra. Because in the Upanishads, in Gopal Tapani Upanishad, it is said, Etadyo dhyayati rasayati bhajati so amrito bhavati. Etadyo, one who worships this Lord Krishna. How does he worship? Dhyayati, by meditation. Rasayati, by chanting names. Bhajati, by other forms of bhakti. Saha amrito bhavati. That person becomes immortal. Now, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan says, does one have to perform all of these activities? Or any one will also do? This is the doubt, samshay. So before you begin a sutra, a samshay is put, a doubt is put. So this is the section of Shastra which puts the doubt. Do you have to perform all these acts of bhakti in order to get liberated, or is any one of them sufficient? Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan quotes, this is the sutra by Sri Vyasadeva. The sutra in the Vedanta Sutra is Aniyamah Sarvesham Avirodha Chabdanumana-bhyam. This is 3.3.32 of Vyasadev's Vedanta Sutram. Aniyamah, there is no rule in Shastra which says that only a combination, Sarvesham, of multiple limbs of bhakti brings liberation. A single limb can also produce the same effect. And avirodhat chabda anumanabhyam. In this regard, there is no conflict between statements of Shruti and Smriti. So you can also perform Shravanam, Smaranam, and you can experience extinguishing of the burning fire of the material world. No problem. This section in the Vedanta Sutra establishes without doubt that any limb of bhakti, if practiced properly, can give the same result. But dear devotees, we should never forget the fact that in the age of Kali, the other processes are not Yuga Dharma. Yuga Dharma is Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given all these qualities to Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Although these qualities also apply to other limbs of bhakti. Otherwise, other limbs of bhakti will become weaker in comparison to Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. And then there will be a question of which limb is stronger, which limb is weaker. Because for a certain devotee, a certain limb is stronger. For Parikshit Maharaj, Shravanam is stronger. For Sri Shukadev Goswami, Kirtanam is stronger. For Sri Prahlad Maharaj, Smaranam is stronger. Different devotees are coming from different past associations of sadhus. And they have different past devotional samskaras. Therefore, they will be attracted to different processes. Aniyam adhikaranam. There is no specific rule. This sutra in Vedanta Sutra is specifically to establish the point that all limbs of bhakti can give the result of complete freedom from material existence. Aniyama adhikaranam. And no acharya can speak against Vedanta Sutra. Nobody can speak against Vedanta Sutra. This is the final word when it comes to establishing Siddhanta. Nobody can speak against this particular conclusion. So, Srila Rupa Goswami also in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu says, some devotees are anekanga bhaktas. They take multiple limbs of bhakti and perform it together. Like Ambarish Maharaj used his feet for walking to the temple, used his hands to cleanse the temple, used his nose for experiencing the aroma of Bhagwan's flowers offered to Bhagwan. This is anekanga bhakti, bhakti of multiple limbs. And some devotees are ekanga bhaktas. They do only one limb. Parikshit Maharaj Shravanam, Shukdev Goswami Kirtanam. Shukdev Goswami his limb of bhakti is Kirtanam. Prahlad Maharaj Smaranam. Prahlad Maharaj's Smaran is so nice, he could see Bhagavan in the pillar. Nobody planted Narsimhadev in the pillar. Nobody planted him. It's not that one day ago Narsimhadev said, I will plant myself in this pillar. It was the Smaran of Prahlad Maharaj that Bhagavan is present here in the pillar, and that Smaran of Prahlad Maharaj caused Bhagavan to come out and show himself. So different devotees come from different devotional tendencies. The acharyas are so broad-minded. Although they highlight Sankirtan, they don't highlight in a dogmatic way. It's very important to understand. Many a time Sankirtanam is highlighted in a dogmatic manner. Oh, no, if you're doing something else, you're not doing Yuga Dharma. Oh, then you will not attain success. Before we highlight Sankirtanam in a dogmatic way, we should first check the tendencies of the sadhaka. A particular sadhaka is attracted to a particular type of bhakti. We just have to give them one suggestion. Wonderful. You like Smaranam? Very nice. Please know that Smaranam is one of the 9 processes of bhakti. But there is one small request by the previous acharyas. Can you please add Sankirtanam along with any limb of bhakti that you are performing? That's the only request, by the previous acharyas. Perform any limb of bhakti, but you should also perform Sankirtanam along with that. So this is the way of speaking to devotees who are attracted to other limbs of bhakti. Not that, oh, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, which limb is your favorite? Acha Smaran. No, but this is not the Yuga Dharma. You are going against Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Stop. Don't perform Smaran. First perform Kirtan. So this dogmatic manner of teaching people drives them away from Sri Krishna Sankirtan. We are trying to attract them and our own attitude drives them away. So please, dear devotees, remember, Aniyama-adhikaranam is the specific adhikaran, specific section in the Vedanta Sutra which deals with this very specific topic. And those devotees who are interested, they should look up and read this Vedanta Sutra with Govinda Bhashya, with the commentary of Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, 3.3.32, Aniyam Adhikaranam. So now that we know this, we also know that Sri Rupa Goswami will say something. What is he going to say? The first quality of Uttama Bhakti is Kleshagni. She destroys all miseries. Bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam. Srila Rupa Goswami also did not limit it only to Sankirtanam. Srila Rupa Goswami also says this is in the context of Uttama Bhakti. Uttama Bhakti has the characteristic of being Kleshagni. She destroys all miseries. But at which stage? So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Tatra sadhana bhakti hi kleshagni rupa. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, sadhana bhakti is the stage which manifests the destruction of all distress. So, destruction of all distress, you don't have to wait for attaining bhava and prem. It begins, dear devotees, at the stage of practice. And how does it begin, dear devotees? Because sadhana bhakti begins with the stage of Shraddha. Shraddha is followed by Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha is followed by Bhajan Kriya. Bhajan Kriya is followed by Anartha Nivritti, followed by Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, and Bhav. Bhav also shares borders with sadhana bhakti because Bhav is neither completely prema bhakti, Bhav is neither completely sadhana bhakti. So Bhav is like two arms, embracing sadhana bhakti on one side and prema bhakti on one side. This is what Srila Jiva Goswami says in his commentary. So on both sides, Bhava Bhakti embraces. Bhava Bhakti has put one hand on the shoulder of sadhana bhakti, one hand on the shoulder of prema bhakti. And Bhava Bhakti walks confidently in between. So Bhav shares borders with sadhana bhakti. Therefore, I have included Bhav here, the devotees. I have not included Prem here because Prema is the goal of sadhana bhakti. So the goal and the process are different. But Bhava is the stage which shares borders with sadhana bhakti as well as Prema bhakti. And dear devotees, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says sadhana bhakti is the stage which ensures bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam, which ensures that the distresses are driven away. And at which stage, dear devotees? Most importantly, at the stage of Diksha. Diksha is the stage where the biggest chunk of negative reactions is wiped out. And what is Diksha? Sri Sanatana Goswami has defined Diksha. Divyam jnanam yato dadyat kuryat papasya sankshayam tasmad diksheti sa prokta deshikais tattva kovidaihi. Sa, she. Diksha is feminine gender. So sa diksha prokta. She is known as Diksha. By deshikais tattva kovidai, by the expert knowers of truth. Why? Because divyam jnanam yato dadyat. She bestows transcendental knowledge. And kuryat sankshayam, ksha, sankshayam, ksha. She removes all sins. Therefore, she is known as Diksha. The devotee is very important. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, she bestows transcendental knowledge. By bestowing transcendental knowledge, something is removed. Can you try to think of what is removed by bestowing Vidya?
Knowledge, and then suffering goes away.
That's okay. I'm asking, by Vidya, what is destroyed?
Ignorance.
Avidya. Wonderful. So, the first characteristic of Diksha is she bestows proper knowledge, valid knowledge. She destroys avidya. First thing Diksha does is the very root of all suffering, which is avidya, is destroyed by proper vidya. And what is that proper vidya? The Guru tells the disciples, see, Aradhya Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas Tadham Vrindavanam. Your worshipable Lord is Shri Krishna, the worshipable abode is Shri Vrindavan. The Guru teaches everything about Shri Krishna Tattva, about the Dham, about the Nam, about the Leela, about the Gunas. And then the Guru teaches all of this. This is what you call Sambandha Gyan. This is transcendental knowledge. Avidya is destroyed because with beginningless time, the Jiva did not know what is Tattva, what is the absolute reality. For the first time, Jiva has come in contact with it. Avidya is destroyed. Now, it will be ensured that the Jiva, uh, even if the Jiva has to take another birth, still they will get a proper Guru through whom they will get access to Vidya. And second thing, whatever negative reactions, whatever pap is remaining, Diksha destroys that. So avidya is also destroyed, and whatever pap was remaining, Diksha also destroys that. Therefore, the most important point, because Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur had said that sadhan bhakti is the stage. Sadhan bhakti is Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, and Bhajan Kriya. So between Sadhu Sangha and Bhajan Kriya, Sadhu Sangha and Bhajan Kriya is where Diksha takes place. And this is the stage at which the major chunk of negative reactions is destroyed. Bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam. A majority of that happens in this stage. After this stage, after initiation, the devotees start feeling less and less affected by material miseries. And most devotees, if we look within our own mind, there's so many wars going on at this moment of time. And what do we think about those? Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, there's so many people killing each other at this point of time in the name of war. As a devotee, what do you think about it?
I wish it would stop.
All right, but I mean, I'm sure you wish it would stop. But what do you think of the people who are engaging in that war?
Who are, like, for example, Russia invading Ukraine without any reason?
Yeah, let's not be specific, but yeah, there are many countries fighting each other. So what about the soldiers who are fighting on both sides? What do devotees think about people who were engaging in war, mass slaughter, kidnapping children? In general, do the devotees think that such people are utilizing their lives properly or they're wasting their lives?
Depends on the purpose of the war, but generally we think they're wasting their lives rather than utilizing it.
Yeah. So in most situations, the standard reaction of the devotee is it's a waste of time. Most of these things, the devotee standard reaction is it's a waste of time. The devotee from that moment onwards starts getting less and less affected by what is going on in the world. Bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam begins when a transcendental ideal is placed for the devotee. The devotee gets to know that the actual substance is not to be found as nothing worth finding in the material world. This is the first seed that the Guru plants in the heart of the devotee. There is nothing worth finding in the material world because the absolute truth is non-material, and non-material absolute truth has to be searched through non-material means of bhakti. And there's nothing much worthwhile in the material world ultimately. There may be something worthwhile temporarily. Ultimately, it is not worthwhile. The devotees carry that attitude in their lives. And this is what greatly reduces the impact of suffering upon the devotees. Devotees don't take it seriously at all. And Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, you may be knowing this, most of the Stoic philosophers also teach this thing, that the material world should not be taken too seriously because it is merely a passing effect. Am I correct, Prabhu?
Yes.
So this Vedic form of Stoicism is implanted by the Guru within the heart of the disciple by telling the disciple the nissaratva, the fact that the material world has no essential substance at all. So this is where the time of sadhu sangha and bhajan kriya, most of the negative, the burning feeling of the material world is removed from the heart of the sadhak. The sadhak stops taking the material world seriously unless some big event is impacting them directly. Otherwise, for most of the events, the sadhaka knows, well, people are getting the reactions from their past lives. If I can do something to help through Sankirtan, I'll help. Otherwise, the material world is meant to be in this way. That's it. So, this is what happens at the time of Diksha. The devotees, there is another verse in the Hari Bhakti Vilas which speaks about Diksha. Tapasvina karmanishta shreshthas vai narabhuvi praptayaistu harer disha sarva dukha vimochani. Tapasvina, the greatest ascetics, karmanishta, the most resolute in their duties. Te vai nara are those humans who have received prapta, harer diksha, diksha related to Hari. Why? Because sarva dukkha vimochani, such diksha frees one from all distress. Again, in the not once but twice in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, it is said that diksha is the stage which causes the devotee to begin experiencing nirvāpaṇam, extinguishing of bhava-mahā-dāvāgni. The devotees, avidya will be removed and karmas will also be removed. And then there will be no suffering remaining at all. I have discussed this previously in the Upadeshamritam session, but today it is also necessary to discuss it again. What are the types of karma that are destroyed by execution of Shri Krishna Sankirtan or by execution of any other limb of bhakti seriously? There are three types of karma, dear devotees. First is known as Sanchit karma. Sanchit karma is also known as aprarabdha karma. Dear devotees, from infinite past human lives, because karma is accumulated only in the human form of life. From infinite past human lives, we have cumulative karma remaining. This karma is waiting to bear its fruit in future lives. This karma is known as aprarabdha karma, also known as sanchit karma. Dear devotees, the second is known as prarabdha karma. A tiny mug of karma is taken and our current body is formed. This karma that has started bearing fruit in the current life since the beginning of the current body is known as prarabdha karma. This karma decides how many years we live, how many days we live, and how we will die. Everything is being decided by this karma which we are currently experiencing in this body. And third is kriyaman karma. This karma is only applicable to human form of life, which is new karma which is created in the current form of life. This karma mostly gets added to sanchita, the stockpile karma, which will bear fruit in future lives. Dear devotees, this is in Vedanta Sutra, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan has given these three types. And I had also given this analogy previously in the Upadeshamritam sessions. I am giving it again. This analogy is of an archer, a bowman, taking out an arrow from his quiver and shooting the arrow in order to hit a target. Dear devotees, in this analogy, after hitting the target, the bowman sits down and crafts a new arrow. So the bowman picks out an arrow from his quiver, shoots the arrow and hits a target, and after that sits down and crafts a new arrow from wood. In this analogy, dear devotees, the arrow in the quiver represents sanchit karma, stockpile karma. From that, those arrows, all those arrows, one particular arrow is taken and released, and that arrow strikes the target. Nobody can stop it. This is known as prarabdha karma. And then the newly framed arrow is comparable to kriyaman karma, new karma that we are creating in this life. So always remember this analogy, dear devotees. Bhakti destroys the first two types, aprarabdha and prarabdha. Can bhakti destroy kriyaman? No, kriyaman is currently being committed. Bhakti can put a stop to it. And bhakti can put a stop to it. Bhakti can let us put a stop to all the sinful activities. So kriyaman will be stopped. But aprarabdha and prarabdha have to be destroyed. They have to be burnt. So all of this will be done by the execution of bhakti. Dear devotees, therefore Srila Rupa Goswami says, actually, there are two basic types. Aprarabdham bhavet papam prarabdham cheti. Aprarabdha and prarabdha are the two basic types. Kriyaman is newly being committed. So kriyaman will ultimately end up either in aprarabdha or prarabdha if you have to suffer it in this life. But the two main types are aprarabdha, that big stockpile which is remaining, and prarabdha, which is we are experiencing in the current life. If we manage to destroy these two, dear devotees, bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam. That's it. Cheto-darpana marjanam has already occurred. Avidya is being cleansed. If we manage to destroy aprarabdha and prarabdha sins, it will be done for us. But dear devotees, amongst these two, the one type of karma which is very difficult to eradicate, extremely difficult to eradicate, is prarabdha karma. That for which we are suffering in this particular life. That big stockpile, aprarabdha, is much easier to destroy. But prarabdha, that which we are experiencing in this particular birth, is very difficult to be destroyed. Very difficult. Therefore, the first negative reaction that is destroyed is aprarabdha. First, the stockpile is destroyed, and at the very end, prarabdha is destroyed for the practicing devotee. Prarabdha is not easily destroyed for the practicing devotee. The devotees, aprarabdha is easily destroyed, and Srila Rupa Goswami quotes a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, where Shri Krishna is saying to Uddhav, यथाग्निः सुसमृद्धार्चिः करोत्येधांसि भस्मसात् तथा मद्विषया भक्तिर् उद्धवैनांसि कृत्स्नशः. My dear Uddhav, yatha agni susamriddha archi, just as a blazing fire, not an ordinary fire, a blazing fire turns firewood into ashes. Similarly, mad vishaya bhakti, devotion unto me, is that blazing fire which burns to ashes sins committed by my devotees. And this is referring to aprarabdha, that big stockpile. Because that big stockpile, you set fire to one wood, that entire storage house of wood will be destroyed. This is how bhakti takes care of previous negative reactions. Sri Krishna Sankirtan takes care of this. But dear devotees, prarabdha is a tough one to crack. But even for prarabdha, Srila Rupa Goswami quotes a verse from the 3rd canto. Yannamadheya shravananukirtanad yat prahvanad yat smaranadapi kvachet shvadopi sadyah savanaya kalpate kutah punaste bhagavannu darshanat. Mother Devahuti is speaking to Kapil Muni. Bhagavan, O glorious Lord, Shvadopi, even a Chandal dog eater, immediately becomes eligible to perform a Soma Yagya, Vedic sacrifice, if he has even once heard or uttered your name, offered obeisances unto you, or remembered you. What then to speak of people like myself? She is speaking about herself, who have directly seen you. Dear devotees, this verse is quoted as an example of destruction of prarabdha. The devotee is a Chandal, a dog eater. Once he chants Bhagwan's Naam, he is eligible to perform a Vedic sacrifice. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, does it sound justified?
No.
No. And it's not after 10 years, after 20 years. Sadyah, immediately. The term Sadyah in the verse means immediately. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu is so easy. In one hand, he may be eating dog meat. After eating dog meat, he will chant Hare Krishna. Let's make him sit for a Vedic sacrifice. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, is that okay?
Yes.
You are being sarcastic, Prabhuji.
Maybe he should stop eating the dog meat, chant Hare Krishna, and then do the Vedic sacrifice, but not at the same time.
But the verse says, even a dog eater immediately becomes eligible to perform a Soma Yagya sacrifice. The dog eater is the lowest human being. Who eats a most cruel person must be eating a dog. And the lowest of the human being becomes the topmost. Somyaji Brahmana, just by chanting one Harinam. It was so easy, Prabhu, that you chant one Harinam and then immediately sit for a fire sacrifice. And what will happen to all that prarabdha karma? And he's first and foremost, Prabhuji, he's born, this dog eater is born in a different family. A Brahmana is born in a different family. And can a dog eater suddenly claim that he is born in a Brahmana family? Dhāmeśvara Mahaprabhu, tell me, is that correct?
No, he can't claim
No,
that.
he cannot claim that. He is not born in a Brahmana family and he is eating dog meat with one hand. And wow, suddenly he chanted one Krishna Nam and then he is eligible to perform Som Yagya. And Rupa Goswami on top of that is using this verse to say that all prarabdha is destroyed. So, how do we make sense of this verse? It's very important to understand, because if prarabdha is destroyed, certainly we have achieved bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam. So that is our final, obstacle remaining in the complete extinction of our miseries. Prarabdha karma is to be destroyed. But how do we do that? Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Sridhar Swami start commenting. First and foremost, Srila Sridhar Swami says, Anena pujyatvam lakshyate. When it is said that the dog eater becomes as good as the Soma Yagya performing Brahmana, it indicates that such a dog eater becomes as worshipable as the Brahmana. Not that immediately he will perform a Soma Yagya. Sridhar Swami says this. Some individuals, when they look at it, they say, you see, we told you by performing bhakti, you cannot change your jati. If you are born in a family of dog eaters, that is your jati, that is your genus, the birth that you took. And therefore, you cannot claim to be a Brahmana simply by taking shelter of the process of bhakti. If you want to become a Brahmana, you have to wait for a next life. Sorry. So, Dāmeśvara Mahaprabhu, if we have to wait for a next life to become a Brahmana, did bhakti really purify us? Did it clear our prarabdha karma?
It didn't clear the prarabdha karma.
No, it didn't clear the prarabdha karma. Because prarabdha begins with our birth. And the first thing that is assigned at birth, Dāmeśvara Mahaprabhu, what is the first thing that is assigned at birth?
Jati, or your...
Yeah, the family lineage in which you take birth, that jati is assigned first. As soon as one enters into the womb of one's mother, the jati is determined already. Now, how will you change somebody's jati? Because somebody is born from a particular father, a particular mother, and you are saying bhakti is bhava-mahā, Shri Krishna Sankirtanam is bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam. It destroys all misery. One of the misery is to take birth in a durjati, in a jati which is not considered as auspicious according to Vedic literature. Now, how will we destroy that when it is, the commentators are saying the dog eater becomes as worshipable as, not that immediately he becomes a Brahmana. No, 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 no. That is not possible. So Srila Jiva Goswami starts explaining the verse. He says there are two obstacles for the Chandal, for the dog eater in performing a Soma Yagya. Dear devotees, please hear carefully. There are two obstacles for them in performing a Soma Yagya. First obstacle is Durjati. They are born in a family lineage that is considered inappropriate for performing a Soma Yagya. And the second obstacle, dear devotees, is lack of proper samskars. Such a dog eater does not have the required good samskar. They have not had the thread ceremony. They have not had Upanayan for doing this. Srila Jiva Goswami says, Bhakti can destroy the first obstacle, Durjati. It can destroy that birth in a particular family lineage. But when? At the time of Diksha, dear devotees, one's gotra changes. Dhāmeśvara Mahaprabhu, what gotra do you belong to?
Achyuta Gotra.
That is not the gotra of your birth. No, 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 no. When did you get this gotra? By birth?
No.
No. It seems that your family lineage was changed in between. When did you get Achyuta Gotra?
When I was initiated into chanting Hare Krishna.
Oh my goodness. So, dear devotees, Srila Jiva Goswami says the first obstacle, Durjati. So some individuals may be born in a jati which is considered inappropriate for performing a Vedic sacrifice. But that Durjati is destroyed. That first obstacle is destroyed when at the time of Diksha. Therefore, I had stressed that Diksha is one of the most important aspects for bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam. And Diksha takes place in mantra. The Guru teaches us to perform Sankirtan of mantra. So dear devotees, this Diksha destroys Durjati. It destroys the effects of taking birth in a family lineage, which is inappropriate for performing a fire sacrifice. What about the second obstacle? Let's say the first obstacle is destroyed, but still the lack of proper samskar, they're not trained as a Brahmana, they don't have Upanayan samskar. What about the second obstacle? Srila Jiva Goswami continues to explain. He says, Tatascha savana yogyatva pratikula durjati arambakam prarabdham api gatam eva. First obstacle in the form of an inappropriate birth has been driven away. However, due to lack of sadachar, good conduct, such a person currently doesn't have a second birth. Then he says, Brahmana kumaranam savana yogyatva bhava vachedaka punya visheshamaya savitra janma apekshavad asya janmantara apeksha vartate. Thus, such a person is now expecting a second birth. So some people say, see, Jiva Goswami also says that this person will have to take a second birth. But Jiva Goswami says second birth exactly as the second birth of boys born in Brahmana families. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, boys born in Brahmana families, when they take a second birth, do they have to change their body or do they take a second birth in the same body?
They take a second birth in the same body.
So, dear devotees, in a similar way, he has said, Brahmana Kumaranam, Savitra Janma Apeksha. So, just as Brahmana Kumaras, Brahmin boys, they are born Brahmanas, but still even after taking birth as Brahmanas, they cannot directly perform a fire sacrifice because they also require a second birth. So, just as Brahmana boys who don't have any negative effects from the past, but still something positive is required. Similarly, this dog eater, he's born in a family of dog eaters. The negative effects of the past have been destroyed, but he requires a second birth. And here, our Acharyas such as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur say that this second birth is at the time of Diksha. The devotees, very clearly, this second birth is at the time of Diksha. He is given Upanayan also. He is given initiation into mantras. But then, dear devotees, he becomes as good as a Brahmana, not simply as worshipable as a Brahmana. No. He becomes as good as a Brahmana. And therefore, Sri Jiva Goswami says, therefore, in the original verse, it says, Kalpate, the dog eater potentially becomes as good as a Brahmana. Not that immediately, while one is eating dog meat, if he chants Hare Krishna, you can respect him as much as a Brahmana, but not that he will become immediately eligible. That is the reason why Sridhar Swami said that he becomes worshipable, because currently he may not have Diksha. He may be eating dog meat with one hand and maybe chanting Hare Krishna. So he is as worshipable as a Brahmana, but after he gets Diksha, he becomes equal to a Brahmana. Dear devotees, this is how Srila Jiva Goswami explains Srila Sridhar Swami's understanding of the entire verse. And we are very thankful that we have Srila Jiva Goswami with us. He wrote in such a way, it was ambiguous. He requires a second birth. So those who think that taking another birth is important to become a Brahmana, they also become happy. But then he hid something there. Second birth, exactly like the second birth of Brahmin boys. So Brahmin boys don't require to change their body in order to get a second birth. So dear devotees, in this way, by Diksha into Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, the Guru teaches Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then at this point of time, when Sri Krishna Sankirtanam is received from a Guru Parampara, this is the time, dear devotees, at which bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam, the forest fire begins to be extinguished. Yes, to a great extent, it is extinguished. But, dear devotees, simply changing jati does not mean that all prarabdha is destroyed. Jati was the first indicator of prarabdha. There is so much prarabdha coming ahead. Jati was the first indicator. The first indicator of prarabdha was destroyed. Dear devotees, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan says complete destruction of Prarabdha will only take place for somebody who's one-pointedly devoted to Nam. He says, Ekanta bhavena upasitam Nam bhogaika vinashyam api Prarabdham vinaiva bhogad vinashayati. When Hari Nam is served with one-pointed mood, it fully destroys that Prarabdha karma which otherwise is destroyed only by suffering through results. There's only one way to destroy Prarabdha karma usually, that is to suffer through the results. But Harinam can destroy that if it is served with one pointed mood, dear devotees. Otherwise, by Diksha, your Gotra will change, but a lot of Prarabdha may still remain if you are not one pointed. But if we are one pointed, all those remaining effects of Prarabdha will also be fully wiped out, dear devotees. That is when we will attain the stage of Bhava, and Bhava shares its borders with Sadhan Bhakti, also with Prema Bhakti. And dear devotees, at this stage, we will be known as a Shuddha Bhakta, pure devotee. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami said there are three types of pure devotees. First is known as Prapta Bhagavat Pārṣada Deha. Those who have attained the body of an eternal associate, such as Narad Muni. Does Narad Muni have to experience any material misery? Absolutely not. Why? Because he has already attained a perfected body. Second category of pure devotee is known as Nirdhut Kashaya. Those who are practitioners currently, but fully freed from materialistic tendencies. Example he gives is Shri Shukadev Goswami. He's in the body of a sadhak practitioner right now, but has no materialistic tendencies. Such a personality also does not experience any material miseries. Third type of sadhak is Murchit Kashaya. They are in the body of a practitioner, but they have some traces of inactive materialistic tendencies remaining. Example given is Narad Muni in his previous life. He had some tendencies remaining lurking around, but they were inactive. This sadhak may sometimes experience some little bit of misery, but it is very insignificant. These are the three types of pure devotees. The devotees, when we reach any one of these platforms, even the lowest one of them, Murchit Kashaya, we will experience almost complete extinction of material miseries. And when we reach the top two types of pure devotees, Nirdhut Kashaya, and especially when we actually get a spiritual body, that is complete destruction of bhava-mahā-dāvāgni. In this way, dear devotees, Shri Krishna Sankirtanam begins the extinguishing of the great forest fire from the stage of Diksha especially, all the way up to the stage of Bhava. And Prema is the stage where it is fully destroyed. Dear devotees, this is the explanation on bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam. I'll pause at this particular point of time. Thank you very much. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit vidvamsah purayantu tat. Yadatra saushthavam kinchit tad guroreva me nahi. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit. If there's any mistake in what I spoke, dear devotees, vidvamsa, you learned devotees, purayantu tat. Please correct any mistakes. But yadatra saushthavam kinchit. If there's anything nice, please remember tad guroreva. It belongs to my Gurujanas. Me nahi. It doesn't belong to me. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Thank you, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, very much. And thank you to Param Karuna Prabhu, Damodar Leela Mataji, for kindly being present here in person. And dear devotees, thank you each and every one of you. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare
Hari
Krishna.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Hari Parshad Prabhu. You've taken this statement from Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam that chanting of the holy name extinguishes the great forest fire of material world, and you've made it very clear exactly what that means, and you've presented it in a very systematic and sequential way, so we know exactly when that happens and what it means in the context of our philosophy about karma and so on. So thank you very much, and we're going to go to Q&A now.
Yeah.
And so we just ask that you keep your questions focused on today's class rather than asking about whatever happens to be on your mind. Please don't bring up specific people or institutions with loaded questions. We just want to keep things philosophical. And sorry, my daughter's distracting me. And then lastly,
if there's any question which requires a specific research you want to
yeah.
ask them, some specific question of a specific reference, better to ask it in the Q&A group. Also, dear devotees, I want to say one thing. The Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam series of talks, like the Upadeshamritam series of talks, is an informal series of talks. And this is where I'm wearing a different hat. Sometimes I go speak in a particular temple or in a particular place, which is affiliated to a particular institution, and there the talks are more formal because I understand that I'm speaking in a particular institution, I'm speaking in a particular environment. But here it is more informal in the sense that our series of talks on Shri Siksastakam is exactly like our series on talks on Shri Upadeshamritam. They are not meant for promotion or criticism of any institution or individual, and are not affiliated to any particular institution or individual. The devotees, I'm wearing a different hat when I'm speaking Shri Siksastakam, and I'm wearing a different hat when I'm speaking in a formal place. So please treat this particular series of talks as a more informal setting, and it is not meant for promotion or criticism of any institution or individual. Although I myself belong to an institution, and I'm faithful to one institution and my set of Gurujanas, but here it is more informal, dear devotees. So thank you very much. Please keep that in mind, dear devotees. We can begin the set of queries. And one last thing, please keep your camera stable. It is difficult when the camera is like this. So, please keep your camera stable so that I can properly focus upon the question rather than focusing upon the disturbing camera. Thank you very much.
Thank you for explaining, Prabhu. And do you want to do one question at a time, or do you want to allow follow-ups?
Yeah, one question if there is a very small follow-up, otherwise round robin, they can wait.
Okay, so please ask just one question. You can have one short follow-up. If you have more questions, please just get back in line. So we'll start with Anuradha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhandavat Pranam Krishna Shri Prabhupada. Prabhu, towards the end, when you were saying that Harinam with one pointed, you should not have, what is that one point, Prabhu? Did I miss, or will you please put light on it?
No, it is Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, who in his commentary to Sri Namashtakam's 4th verse, he says that Ekanta Bhavena Upasitam Harinam. That Harinam with one pointedness is what fully destroys Prarabdha Karma. Because it is Namashtakam, it is about glories of Harinam. Therefore, he is speaking about Harinam. In any limb of bhakti we perform, we have to perform one pointedly in order to fully get rid of Prarabdha Karma. Because if we are not one pointed, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, as Shri Krishna says in Gita, then what will happen is that our sadhan will not have the strength to take us to the stage of bhava or prema. And when sadhan does not have that strength to take us to the stage of bhava or prema, we will naturally not attain that result.
Yes, Prabhu, just a short follow-up to it is when you say one pointed, is that one point means getting Krishna prema?
Oh yeah, one pointed aim should be prema pumartho mahan. That our final aim is Shri Krishna Prema. And that aim is much more important than even liberation or going to Vaikuntha or Goloka. That is one-pointedness.
Okay, thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So then it means that your only focus in life is Krishna consciousness for the purpose of attaining prema. Is that right?
Yeah, and if that means that I have to stay back, I'm ready for it.
Thank you. Our next question is from Jai Dwarka Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for another wonderful presentation, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question was from the point where you explained the definition of Diksha, Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat Kuryat Papasya Sanchayam. Then you explained that the component of major important component of Diksha is Divya Jnanam. And then you explained about it. So, Prabhuji, attainment of Jnana is certainly not as is considered by many as attainment of some divine knowledge on the day of Diksha. That is not what we are talking about. So then Jnana becomes a process. It's a process to attain Jnana.
Right.
So then in that case, Diksha is also not an event.
Right.
Diksha is not an event.
Right.
Diksha also becomes a process.
Right.
And in that process, the giving of the name by the guru and the mantra and chanting beads, that is an event.
Right.
So my point here is that where that event lies in this process of diksha, and what marks as beginning of diksha and what marks as end of diksha.
Oh, wonderful. So where does Diksha actually begin? Where does the process begin? And where does Diksha end? Is there an end to Diksha? So,
Yes, yes.
This question is answered in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu in the commentary of Srila Jiva Goswami on that verse, Ādau Shraddha Tatah Sadhu Sangotha Bhajana Kriya. So I'll quickly pull out that verse and I will share my screen with you so that it will become easy to understand. So now you will be able to see the screen. This is Ādau Shraddha Tatah Sadhu Sangotha Bhajana Kriya. Srila Jiva Goswami says, Tatra Bahushu Api Krameshu Satsu. There are many sequences of progress. Why only this one? Ādau Shraddha. He says, Prayikam Ekam Kramam. Mostly this is the sequence. Right? So then he says, Ādau Prathame Sadhu Sangha. First is not Shraddha. First comes Sadhu Sangha. And Shastra Shravana Dwara Shraddha. Tad Artha Vishwasa. In the association of Sadhu, one gets Shraddha in the Shastra. So actually first comes Sadhu Sangha. Jiva Goswami says, first comes Sadhu Sangha. And then that Sadhu starts imparting Divya Gyan. Beginning with how to put faith in Shastra. And that is where the process begins. It begins with Ādau Shraddha. And then he says, Tataha Pratham Anantaram Dvitiya Sadhu Sangha. And then you get Shraddha, Ādau Shraddha, Tataha Sadhu Sangha. Then the second Sadhu Sangha. And this Sadhu Sangha is of a more serious variety, Bhajana Riti Shiksha Nibandhana. You get Shiksha about your bhajan, about practices of bhajan that are specific to your case. So this is where Diksha, this is the time at which that formal ritual ceremony of Diksha takes place. But Diksha also has a second component. So Diksha begins here, Ādau, because that is where the Sadhu Sangha began. And where does Diksha end? So Diksha will end when it fulfills all its criteria. And when will it fulfill all its criteria? Kuryat papasya sankshayam. When all the sinful reactions are completely destroyed. Now all the sinful reactions are completely destroyed at the stage of prema. And at the stage of prema, Diksha has fulfilled its purpose. Otherwise, we cannot call it Diksha. So I hope, Prabhu, Diksha is a, and even after that, Divyam Jnanam is not only limited to one particular, even in the spiritual world, Divyam Jnanam continues to be given by the Gurujanas to those who are sheltered under them. For those who are sheltered under Shri Rupa Manjari, will they not continue to receive instructions of service of Dasya, of Srimati Radharani from Shri Rupa Manjari? Please tell me, Jai Dwarka Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So they will continue to receive. So this receiving Divyam Jnanam is going to remain a process which is going to continue forever. But Papasya Sankshayam is going to remain till Prema. But the beginning stage is Ādau Shraddha. It begins from there. Right?
Okay. So do we say that till that point of time...
Prabhuji, can we come back to you? Because we're just allowing one question at a time with a short follow-up.
Is there a short follow-up, Jayadwarka Prabhu? So if that is one, I'd like to take that.
It was just a continuation. This again the follow-up to understand this point only.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
let's go ahead. Please ask.
Yes. So then the one-pointed attainment of one-pointed devotional service is the end of this Diksha process. So till that time, we cannot say that our Diksha is completed. So is it that what you are trying to say?
Attainment of Divyam Jnanam continues into eternity. Even in the spiritual world, we continue to receive Divya Jnan from those who are our Gurujanas. So that Diksha is not that now my purpose of Diksha is done, I can put it in a box and keep it away somewhere. That is not the meaning of Diksha. Diksha is a process which we continue to receive Shiksha. We continue to receive those important instructions, Divyam Jnanam, from the Guru constantly. But as a ritual, Diksha gets completed when you get Pancha Samskar. What are the Pancha Samskar? Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan specifies. Nam, Mantra, tap, yag, and tilak. You get pancha samskar. That is when your diksha gets, that ritual is complete. But that process continues into eternity, because there will never be a time when the disciple will say, now I am done with this diksha, now I need something else. That is not going to happen. Right? Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, and pardon me for interrupting. Next we have Bhaktin Dorothea Mataji. Oh, it's blocking my button. Here we go.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for having such a wonderful, allowing such a wonderful Sangha where we can, pose our questions informally, and also for explaining to us this time why Diksha is important in destroying karma, especially prarabdha karma. So my question is about the thing you said about Sri Narada having already attained the body of an eternal associate. Does that mean his form of playing the Veena is that his form as an eternal associate, or does he have like a more like a different form that is not visible to us in that way?
Okay. So your query is Shri Narad Muni's form his eternal form? Or does he have, is this a form which will lead to another eternal form? So, so this is his eternal form. But in the spiritual world, a living entity can also perform more than one roles. For example, Shri Narad Muni also performs the role of a Sakha of Bhagavan Shri Krishna in the spiritual world. The spiritual world is not limited by, there are no restrictions. Once a jiva starts feeling that, once a jiva has this particular feeling while doing their sadhana, so that according to that they will get perfection. Some jivas get perfection in multiple rasas, some jivas get perfection in a single rasa. So, and some jivas get multiple identities in the spiritual world. So Bhagavan will never leave any jiva dissatisfied in this way. Narad Muni's form is also his eternal form, and his form as a Sakha of Shri Krishna is also his eternal form. So this is, all of these things are possible in the spiritual world. So that is the answer to your query. Narad Muni's form is not the form of a sadhaka, although he acts as a sadhaka for teaching others, but his form is that of a siddha. So that is the answer to your query. Right.
Wow, thank you.
Next we have Vishvarupa Prabhu. My daughter's pushing buttons. Here we go.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhāmeśvara. Prabhuji, am I audible?
Oh, you are also visible.
Prabhuji, this type of class about karma was once taken in Upadeshamritam, but this time also we got something new, something fresh about this. So always happy.
No, I was
that we get.
planning to do so much more. There's a whole Vedanta Sutra section on this, and we can go through that, and how Vishlesh, how Kriyaman karma gets separated, and how Prarabdha destroyed, all the Shruti Pramanas. There's so much in Hari Bhakti Vilas. But if I keep discussing this, then we'll remain on bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam for 3 or 4 weeks. So I want to do that, but because it's important to cover the essential details, but there's so much more in the philosophy. There's so much more, but this is good level of detail, I believe, and it was done in Upadeshamritam, but some things were not done. For example, today we also did Aniyamadhikaranam. So Aniyamadhikaranam is something new. Always get to learn something new, because that is bhakti. That is not nothing stale. Navanava-rasam. So learn something new every day. Learn something new. So that is very good. Yes, you wanted to ask something?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in my question, if there is something, some statement is wrong, you can correct it. So today, follow up to Jayadvarka Prabhu's question. So it seems that the Pancha Samskar, once we get from our Guru, the part of that Puryat Papasya Samshayam is not complete. It gradually goes on with more we do sadhan. But one more aspect we also see that whatever the miseries that we as a sadhak receive, that is either given by Bhagavad Tattam for bhakti to hide bhakti's mahatva, or also shown by devotees to hide their shakti. So as our part, when we hear in Bhagavatam that Susamikshamano, that slok, that Atma Kritam, that it is done some past karma that I did, I am getting the suffering. So after getting initiated, should we think that it is that Atma Kritam Vipakam is some aparadh that I did, or any or some pap also that is it is gradually getting shy, but not completely till now removed.
All right. See, pap is previous pap, aprarabdha is destroyed first. That is the sequence. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, aprarabdha, pap is destroyed first. So it is unwise to think that my aprarabdha is still remaining. Diksha took place, then what got destroyed? So it is unwise to think like that. Diksha will fail if it did not perform the function of destroying previous pap. So what is the purpose of Diksha if it could not perform that function? So we cannot. So Diksha performed that function. Then why are we receiving miseries? So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu commentary that you pointed out, sometimes Bhagwan himself gives negative reactions. Now, why is Bhagwan giving negative reactions? Does he hate me or something? Why is he giving negative reactions? The reason is, even though karmas are destroyed, more subtle than karma is vasana. Vasana may be remaining within the sadhak. And vasana also involves the free will of the sadhak, because you can't destroy vasana. Sadhak has to give up vasanas voluntarily. When those vasanas will be given up voluntarily by the sadhak, till that time Bhagavan is doing something to make sure the sadhak realizes that this is your problem. If you don't work upon it, this thing will create further obstacles for you. So karma may not be there. Karma is destroyed. But that karma vasana, that inclination to perform that same type of activity, may somewhere be lurking around. So somebody before Diksha, they may be eating fish. After Diksha, they stopped eating fish. But the sinful reactions were destroyed. Pap was destroyed. But as soon as he walks near a fish market, he remembers, oh my goodness, this was my favorite. So this is what you call vasana.
Vasana.
So Bhagavan sometimes gives some negative reactions in order to clear out the vasana, or sometimes some aparadh may be there. So in that verse, tatte nukampam, for an initiated devotee, they should understand some vasana must be remaining or some previous aparadha must be remaining. That is the answer to the query. All right? Yes.
Small follow-up.
Yeah.
So whatever Bhagwan gives us because of our vasana or aparadh, so is there any reference that does Bhagwan give taking something from the pile of aprarabdha, or that is already destroyed? It is totally
destroyed. Aprarabdha is destroyed. It's destroyed. But lurking vasanas have to be taken care of. Therefore, Bhagwan is doing something in order to make sure.
Independently.
Yeah, Bhagwan is doing something. Right? So, Dhāmeśvara Prabhu, there are some brahmacharis from the Pune temple.
Okay.
They might
Rishabh Bani.
Rishabh Bani Prabhu. So they might have to take rest early. So let's give them the chance.
All right. I asked to unmute.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Dhanavad.
Dhanavad Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dhanavad. Thank you very much, Shri, for a wonderful class. Prabhuji, like you mentioned that every limb of bhakti can give perfection.
Yeah.
So I just have one small clarification further down. For example, is there any mention of like perfection can be achieved, but the level of perfection or whatever when development of rasa or the destination, is there any mention of but different process of Navida Bhakti? Is there difference of the goal which is achieved in perfection? Is there any
No. No, difference of goal is achieved according to whether you practice Vaidhi Bhakti or Rag Bhakti. Same limbs can be executed with a mood of Vaidhi Bhakti. I am performing Shravanam because Shastra says. I am performing Shravanam because I genuinely have attraction for the mood of a Brajavasi. This difference is the difference between Vidhi and Rag. And this difference between Vidhi and Rag is what leads to difference in the destination. So, so that difference in the mood, bhavana, bhavo hi bhava karanam. There is a very nice verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, bhavo hi bhava karanam, that the mood with which one practices, that mood leads to the attainment. I will share that particular verse. Acharyas quote this verse in this sense, bhavo hi bhava karanam, 1074:46, bhavo hi bhava karanam. So in the word for word, bhava, one's attitude, he indeed, bhava karanam, the cause of attainment, basically. Whatever attainment you get is because of the mood that you have. So, there is also another Kita Peshaskrita that is called Kit Bringi Nyay. Wasp, and you might have heard of Kit Bringi Nyay, the wasp who meditates, So the insect who meditates on the wasp. So that according to that Nyay, whatever mood in which you surrender to Bhagavan, that mood is what determines the destination. The limbs of bhakti are simply carrying the fragrance of that mood, nothing else.
So any limb can give same goal in like Raga
Of
Bhakti.
course, of course.
Or any
Because,
limb will give by this goal.
yeah. Any limb of Navadha Bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, those 9 are most prominent. And Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu distills them to 5. Sadhu Sang, Nam, Kirtan, Bhagavad, Shravan, Mathura Vas, Shri Murti Sevan. Somebody is serving the deity, let's say, but they have a mood of Raganuga Bhakti. When they enter into the altar, they consider themselves to be a follower of the eternal associates of Vrindavan. With that mood, they are, touching the deity. Because truly speaking, we cannot touch the body of Srimati Radharani with a masculine ego. Truly speaking, we cannot touch the body of Srimati Radharani with a masculine ego. Therefore, there is a process called as Bhuta Shuddhi before you enter onto the altar. Bhuta Shuddhi means you take upon a new identity in order to touch the body of Srimati Radharani for dressing her. Because there's no male is allowed in the Kunja, in where Sri Radha and Krishna are present. So with that mood, if you perform deity worship, obviously the attainment is going to be Goloka Vrindavan. But if you are performing with the mood, no, this is my duty, I have to worship Radha Krishna as, my guru gave me this duty. So that is a different mood. So depending upon the mood, your attainment is determined. I hope that answers that.
The Sankirtan has to be there along with any other limb.
Yeah, Sankirtan has to be there in Kali Yuga. You have to perform Sankirtan. That is the recommendation of the Acharyas. Acharyas don't say that you will fail, but Acharyas highly recommend. Acharyas highly recommend. So there's a difference between highly recommending something. Somebody may be able to go even without Sankirtan in Kali Yuga. That's all right. But those are exceptions. The recommendation by the Acharyas is please take Sankirtan along with any other limb of bhakti that you are interested in. Perform the limb of bhakti that you are interested in. But please perform Sankirtan along with it. That is the recommendation of the Acharyas. Right?
Thank you. Thank you.
Next we have Kamaniya Krishna Prabhu and Kamala Mataji.
Hare Krishna Babuji, Dhanvat Palm at your lotus feet, Dhanvat Palm to Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu and all the Vaishnavas. Babuji, yet another wonderful class, and we are really cherishing this nectar from your mouth. So Babuji, as you mentioned that this Diksha destroys our Sanchit Karma. So, okay.
And also the first symptom of your Prarabdha Karma. What is the first symptom of your Prarabdha Karma, Kamaniya Krishna Prabhu?
Take birth in this body.
Jati. Diksha changes your jati. Jati is the first symptom of Prarabdha Karma. But other symptoms of prarabdha karma are also, other types of prarabdha karma also have to be cleared. And for that, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan says you have to have one pointed dedication to the sadhana you are performing. So yeah, please ask your query.
So our question is like, many times it happens that after Diksha, first initiation, Harinam Diksha, right? People do a lot of commit offenses or sins because out of their psychophysical nature, like maybe greedy or maybe liars or selfishness or whatever. I'm not talking specifically about those breaking those regulative principles, okay? So that's not I'm talking about, but in general. So how can it is happening repeatedly and knowingly, okay? Repeatedly and knowing it's because I know that in one of the discussion you mentioned that in the Updesha mode, there is something called weakness, right? Out of that person commits something like that, maybe a couple of times, maybe like, but sometimes even with knowing it, they do it and repeatedly, and that's not only for the selfish purpose. So how that those kind of karmas will be taken care, like as we see into this world today, how it happens. Thank you.
So let me try to get the query clear. There are some devotees who got Harinam Diksha. They may not be breaking the 4 regulative principles, but they are exhibiting some other weakness. Can you give an example of such a weakness?
Maybe some selfishness, some
Acha.
greediness,
Acha,
or
okay.
some
Greed, selfishness, lying.
maybe money or position or whatever,
Sure. So these are known as anarthas. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Madhurya Kadambini classifies various types of anartha. Sukritotha anartha, Dushkritotha anartha, Bhakti Uttha anartha. There are classifications of anarthas in Madhurya Kadambini. When you look at the anarthas, you will find this as an anartha stemming from previous vasanas. So because this is an anartha stemming from previous vasanas, it is not categorized as karma. Karma has a different, anartha is different. Karma leads to karma phala. Anartha leads to blockage of bhakti. So when this person is exhibiting greed, deceit, etc., it will block his or her progress on the path of bhakti. But for the devotee, it does not generate new karma, because there is very clear indication that na karma bandhanam janma vaishnavanam cha vidyate vishnur anucharatvam hi mokshamahur manishina. I will point out that verse. It is in Hari Bhakti Vilas. Yes, it's quoted. I will try to find out the exact. This also I'll first show it in. It's quoted in one of the Vyas Puja offerings of Srila Prabhupada. Na karma bandhanam janma vaishnavanam cha vidyate vishnor anucharatvam hi mokshamahur manishina. The main part is na karma bandhanam janma vaishnavanam. So for the Vaishnavas, there is no karma bandhan, no janma bandhanam. Why? Because mostly the karmas are destroyed, except for prarabdha, which is difficult to destroy. Most of them are destroyed. So new karma is not generated mostly for them. But the anarthas, it is possible that they may be having anarthas. So that is the answer. This is where it falls. It falls in the category of anarthas. It blocks their bhakti. It blocks their progress on the path. So I hope that satisfies your query.
Yeah. Thank you so much for it. Thank you.
Next we have Rohini Nandana Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandvat pranams to you and all the Vaishnavas. Thank you so much for the clear explanation on this bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam. Prabhu, just a small query. Since you mentioned that other limbs of bhakti are also equally potent in in achieving perfection, can we say that Sankirtan here is an upalakshan for other limbs of bhakti in this verse?
Okay, so upalakshan, for those devotees who don't know, when one term is spoken but it includes other terms also, that is what is upalakshan. So when we say cheto darpanam arjanam bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam, it's not only by Sankirtan, but it can be done also by, other processes. So, does the term Shri Krishna Sankirtan, is it an Upalakshan here? Or is it a term which includes a broader variety of terms? So, in one sense, you can say for these two characteristics, Cheto Darpanam Arjanam, bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam. But then there are other characteristics coming up. Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. So, when we discuss other, because all seven have to fit. When all seven have to fit, then we will come to the conclusion that it ideally fits Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Since we are discussing the first two, Cheto Darpanam Arjanam, bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam, and first two are related purely to the material world. We have not yet discussed, spiritual attainments. First two are regarding removal of avidya and extinguishing the burning forest fire. So right when we go into cultivation of the positives, then we will start seeing the speciality of Shri Krishna Sankirtan. And the commentators are brilliant. They will bring out. I have full faith in the commentators that they will bring out the speciality of Shri Krishna Sankirtana. Although for the purpose of bhava-mahā-dāvāgni-nirvāpaṇam, I have to say honestly that other limbs of bhakti can also do it. Because Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, specifically we have Aniyamadhikaranam. Today we discussed Aniyamadhikaranam. In a general sense, all limbs of bhakti can help you attain. But there must be something special about Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. But I have to keep some secrets because commentators such as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Sri Radha Govindanath, Sri Kanupriya Goswami, they're going to come out with the best of their realizations. We get all these good realizations from various directions. So we'll wait for the sweet boxes to be unpacked one at a time. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Next we have Parama Karuna Prabhu.
Hey, you're sitting right here.
So maybe you'll have to mute Hare Prashad Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible, Dhāmeśvara Prabhu?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for such an amazing series. Today's class is so amazing. And thank you for letting me sit here in person and listen to you in the most traditional way. My question is, I feel in some sense was partly answered by the question just previously asked by, I think, Rohini Nandan Prabhu. So I'm really waiting now for the remaining 5 characteristics to open up to fully understand the sweetness and significance of Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. My question was, in the Śrī-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam, there is the this thing in the Antya Leela chapter 4, I think around verse number 70, 71. Sarva anga madhye shrestha navavidha bhakti. And then in the next verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Tare madhye shrestha nama sankirtana. I'm paraphrasing. And what's that? Shuddha hoye premadhan, shuddha nama nirapradhe nama leilo paye premadhan, something like that. So this is in context of you, similar like all limbs of bhakti. So I'll wait for this next few sessions, but maybe what I can ask is if you could give your explanation or little bit common explanation of these 2 verses of Chaitanya Charitamrita, I would be blessed.
So, Bhajanera Madhya Shrestha Navavidha Bhakti Krishna Prem Krishna Dite Dhare Mahashakti Tar Madhya Sarva Shrestha Nam Sankirtan Nirapradh Nam Laile Paya Prem Tan. This is what is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. What is the meaning? See, Sarva Shrestha Nam Sankirtan, the greatest is Nam Sankirtan. There is a paripeksha. There is a context there that for this particular age, Nam Sankirtan is the greatest. If you go to Satya Yuga, Krite Yad Dhyayato Vishnu, there you will find that the greatest is meditation upon Vishnu. because the minds of people are already very pure. They can directly engage in Smaran. Smaran is also most important for Kali Yuga. Smartavya satatam. Always remember, never forget. This is the most important rule and regulation. But this important rule and regulation is difficult because Smaran requires purity of consciousness. Purity of consciousness is not easily available in Kali Yuga. Therefore, Shri Krishna Sankirtan. Purity of consciousness is not a prerequisite for Shri Krishna Sankirtan. Tar Madhya Sarva Shresth. Therefore, the greatest is Nam Sankirtan. So there's a context there. Kali Yuga is there and you don't even need a clean consciousness to engage in Shri Krishna Sankirtan. So from that particular context, it is the greatest. So whenever we draw a hierarchy, there has to be a certain context in drawing a hierarchy. So in Satya Yoga, meditation is the greatest. In Treta, fire sacrifice is the best. In Dwapar, deity worship is the best. In Kali Yuga, Sarva Shrestha Nam Sankirtan. That's it. All right. So that is one context, but we can explore more as and when the verse progresses. So I hope that is satisfactory. Thank you.
Any follow-up, Paramakarna Prabhu?
No, Prabhuji, this is great.
Okay. Thank you so much. Next we have Anusha Mataji. Anusha Mataji, please unmute. There we go.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for the nectarine class, Prabhuji. My doubt is with respect to Anyamādhikaranam that we had discussed. So, Prabhuji, is it right to assume that, I think the verse that the statement that was quoted in the class is, there is no rule which states that only a combination of multiple limbs of bhakti brings liberation. If I am right, I would note it down this.
Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, our focus being Krishna Prema or as sadhaka bhaktas. So, for neophytes like us, like me, would it be proper to understand that performing the morning program, Prabhupada has also said most of the limbs of bhakti are covered in the morning program. So by performing that religiously without getting into the introspection of which is my ruchi, in which stage I am in, and all of that, will it lead me to a clarity, Prabhuji? So should it always be a combination of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam? Should we identify anything in particular for our progress, or we just follow Prabhupada till we get our initiation? Because I was also reminded of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the words which you had said, which was there, Krishna Dikshanu Sikshanam and Guru Padashraya, Vishrambena Guru Seva. Almost everything was very beautifully covered during the discussion, I felt. So please could you give me some clarity, Prabhuji? I don't think my question.
So I'll have to rephrase your query so that everybody can understand.
We need a clear question before we get a clear answer.
Yeah. So Mataji, in 2 sentences, can you frame your query?
Yeah. Can we understand that by performing the morning program religiously, most of the limbs of bhakti are automatically being covered, and we need not bother about thinking about Shravana, Kirtana, the combination, the permutation and combination of all the Navavida bhakti with respect to Anyamādhikaranam that we had discussed. And second thing is...
sorry to interrupt. Is it correct to say your question is, does the morning program include all of the limbs of bhakti?
Yeah, exactly.
It's very short, right? So try to make it concise.
Yeah, that's the query in a sutra format. So thank you, Prabhu. So, Mataji, this line of thought, does the morning program include everything that we need, is not the line of thought of a person who wants to love Krishna. For somebody who wants to love, they will try to look for multiple avenues of expressing love. And for those who want to do their duty, they will try to look for how much I should do. This question is springing from a motivation of kartavya, doing my duty. How much should I do as my duty to satisfy, what I am expected to do? So that is not the type of bhakti that is taught in Gaudiya Vaishnava circles. Neither did any acharya, and I believe Srila Prabhupada want us to do our bhakti with that mindset. Srila Prabhupada has introduced the morning program so that we become spontaneously attached to Shri Krishna. And it's like there are two students who go to college and both of them enroll in a course for mathematics. And one student asks, how many lectures am I supposed to attend in order to get first class marks? And the second student is thinking about new innovations in mathematics. How do I get the Fields Medal? Not even Fields Medal. How do I, have this breakthrough research in mathematics? These are two different attitudes, Mataji. The person who has spontaneous affection for mathematics will attend any lecture or any talk that is needed for them to have a breakthrough discovery. And the person who just wants to clear with good marks will do the bare minimum. So the attitude has to shift, Mataji. And we cannot always keep saying that as a new devotee, as a new devotee. How long are we going to say as a new devotee? So the attitude has to shift someday, and someday we have to begin the process as if our spiritual life depends on it. We as if our success depends on our attitude. So every time we cannot say how much did Prabhupada ask us to do? I will do that much, and later I can hold Prabhupada responsible. See, you told that much, so I did that much. So Prabhupada, I did my part of the contract. Now give me the result. So this is not how we should hold our acharyas accountable. What we are supposed to do is realize not the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law. The spirit of the law is to have spontaneous bhakti towards Krishna and do whatever is needed for that. Tatra laulyam api mulyam ekalam. Kriyatam yadi kutopil. Purchase with whatever price you have to give. That is the answer to your query. Right. Initially, you can start with Prabhupada's basic program. Later, you are also supposed to have your own idea of spiritual life, which includes that program, but which is not limited to that program. That is the answer to your query.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I just have a small follow-up question. So this doubt definitely stemmed because, I'm holding myself accountable. I must confess that, I'm just doing my duty and not bothered about the Krishna Prema stage or attachment for Krishna. But my Siksha Guru, who I daily report my sadhana report or Ekadashi reports to, what she says is, on a personal note, I'm just asking you, Prabhu,
Mataji,
because
I'm sorry, but we don't want to get into specific people or individual situations. We want to keep things philosophical and abstract.
Okay, so Shravanam, Kirtanam should be if I'm very passionate about hearing, let me put it this way. So can I continue that without bothering whether I develop the prema or not? Or Prabhuji?
The thing is, Mataji, Sri Rupa Goswami has said in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Swa Vasana Anusaren. You have some previous devotional inclinations. The Guru, Shiksha or Diksha Guru is meant to kindle those previous devotional inclinations, not supposed to go against them. So an expert Guru kindles the perfect inclinations of the sadhaka that the sadhaka has acquired from previous lives. And once, you are under guidance of somebody, so I hope that they will kindle those limbs of bhakti in which you are, which you have a natural flair for from previous lives of practicing bhakti. And you can do that. And on top of that, if there is anything extra that you wish to do, any other limb that you wish to add, Swa Vasana Anusarena, you can add it by, consulting your Shiksha or Diksha Gurus. There is no restriction against that. Aniyam Adhikaranam. There is no specific niyam. There is no specific rule or regulation mentioned. Since you mentioned institutions, I would like to tell you one thing. Today itself, I gave a program in the afternoon. There was a discussion and somebody brought out the point before institutions were there. There was a different type of Mangalarti. You know, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas used to gather together the different songs, different type of Mangalarti. Even in Gaudiya Vaishnava circles, you go to different other branches of Gaudiya Vaishnava circles. There's a different format of Aarti, different time, and different songs. And so the main thing is not the specifics. The main thing is the mood with which you are performing that particular lib of bhakti. That is the answer to your query. So I hope that satisfies your query. Thank you very much.
Next we have Purushottam Prasad Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Happy Vijayadashmi to all. Prabhuji, actually we missed the last session. I was longing for this session. You created such an interest in listening your classes. Thank you so much for your wonderful sevas. And as usual, today also, it's a feast for all of us. Indebted to you. Prabhu, you mentioned the Srimad Bhagavatam verse, Yamna Madhya Shravanat Kirtanat. So Prabhupada translated that even once utter the name or even bow down or hear, he become eligible immediately, even though he's from a dog eater family. But the consequent verses, the next verse says about to recite that, you must have done all the te pustapaste. So you must have done all the austerities
in the past
previous
life.
Yeah. So he is automatically qualified to recite the name of the Lord.
Right.
So if that is the case, like how to understand the situation like Mrihari, who had nothing, whereas just by the association of Narada Muni, he elevated to so much. Or the cases of Valmiki, he was a robber.
Yeah.
So
how do you understand?
Yeah. How to the what you call the core essence of these two verses? How one should understand? That's what my question is.
You can understand because this specific question that you have taken, it's a very specific question, but it has been taken up by Shri Vallabhacharya in his commentary to those verses. So in 3.33.6 and 3.36 and 7, Shri Vallabhacharya, fortunately we have the commentary of Shri Vallabhacharya on those particular verses. And on those particular verses, Shri Vallabhacharya has said something. And what he has said is that, he takes up the example of Valmiki. So I will share my screen, although this is in Devanagari, but I will still quote the Devanagari and I will translate it on the spot. This is Shri Vallabhacharya's commentary. And here he says, Smaranasya tu Valmike sahi Chandala eva Marga Ghataka. So he was Chandal, he was Marga Ghataka, he was highway robber. So this is what he also mentions the case of Valmiki. But in the next verse, he says, he explains, although you have done in previous lives, but due to some particular mistake in previous life, the lower birth has occurred in this particular life. So that is why, he says that although all the previous activities were performed, but there was some mistake, some major mistake in performing all those activities. That is the reason why in this particular life, he has attained that particular lower birth. So that is the reason that he specifies. So I hope that answers your query.
Super. So it confirms us that Swalpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahatavaya. Perfect. And excellent. Dhāmeśvara Prabhu, with your permission, Prabhu, you mentioned a devotee can attain at the simultaneously 2 or 3 ruchi perfection. Rasa can be perfected. Where can we find?
Sorry to interrupt. Is it since it's a separate question? Is it okay if we come back to you?
Okay.
Sorry, I'm too strict. Next we have Nritya, Gauranga Prabhu.
Very good. 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 Very good.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavats Pranam. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you for the nectarian class.
Thank you for waiting.
I'm
Thank you for
eternally
waiting
indebted
for long. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm eternally indebted to you for this one. Yeah, sorry, this is my first session that I'm attending in the Siksastakam. And my question, maybe it could be a duplicate question, or so please pardon me. And so this is around the Smaranam. Like as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Antakale cha mameva smaranam uktva kalevaram yah prayat samadbhavamyati nastatra samshaya. So he said that Smaranam is important, right? If you want at the end of the life, when you remember Krishna, then you'll be able to go back to Krishna. So isn't it the
Sorry to interrupt. Is
Smaranam?
this related to today's class? I know we mentioned Smaranam,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it was we weren't
Is it related
specifically
to?
talking about Smaranam in this class or the
No, it's
Bhagavad Gita.
It's
a-
related to.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So this Kirtanam, what we are doing, shouldn't this result into the Smaranam? Otherwise, how will we be able to even go back to Krishna and serve him? Because as Krishna mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, that only through Shravanam, only through Smaranam, you can reach him. So
All right.
shouldn't, yeah.
So this particular, this relationship between Kirtan and Smaran has been specified very nicely in the Brihad Bhagavatamritam of let me point out that particular verse because in the Brihad Bhagavatamritam it is specified that Kirtan and Smaran both are both complement each other. Kirtan leads to Smaran and Smaran leads to Kirtan. So that when he see here, I am sharing my screen and we can have a look. This is 23148. Manyamahe kirtanam eva sattamam lolatmaka ekasva hridis sfurat smrite. So this verse translation you can read, Prabhuji. Please read the translation.
But we consider chanting to be alone the most excellent form of bhakti, better than remembering, which appears only in one's own turbulent heart. For chanting harnesses not only the faculty of speech, which it engages directly, but also the mind and sense of hearing. And chanting helps not only the person practicing it, but others as well.
Yeah. So the other verses also, which says that Kirtan and Smaran are complementary to each other. So Brihad Bhagavatamritam, this discussion between the residents of Vaikuntha and Gopakumar, it establishes that particular reciprocal relationship between Smaran and Kirtan. So both are complementary to each other. Smaran develops as a result of Kirtan, and when Smaran is also developed, Kirtan automatically happens. And Kirtan again facilitates Smaran, and then again Kirtan happens. So they are, constantly they are complementing each other. And we don't need to put them against each other. So that is, very important. I'll still try to find, there is one specific verse about that. And I'll try to find that particular verse because I know there is a particular, there's always some conflict between Smaran and Kirtan, but there are verses about the specific verse about that in I'll try to find it, and if I manage to find it, I'll show it. But this one verse which I showed is on similar lines, Prabhuji. Right?
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to hand over my role to Paramakaruna Prabhu now.
I think I'll take it over because he's in this.
Okay.
So I'll take over.
Sure.
Right? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Vishwarup Prabhu.
Prabhuji. Prabhuji, the verse that you quoted, that's Savanaya Kalpate. So, at the time of Jiva Goswami, before I'm speaking specifically about institutionalization of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So, as per what Jiva Goswami Path says, that if just a second Savitra Janma is required, and he will be able to do yajna. So, where the people who didn't take a Shaukra Janma of Brahmana were given this second, the Upanayan and the mantra before institutionalization.
Many places where in history, where people were given Upanayan before organized religions came into existence. Whenever, especially when there were attacks by invaders on India, many people got converted. There were many operations of Shuddhikaran. Shuddhikaran means there were many operations of bringing people back into Sanatan Dharma, and Upanayan was performed as a part of that. So it's not that only, in a particular, I will quote something for you. This is, you can read, Prabhu. This is Garib Nawaz was given a sacred thread. This was much before any Gaudiya Vaishnavism. This is from the book Linguistic Survey of India, 3rd volume, part 3, page 20, footnote. Please read.
On this, the ruling prince Garib Nawaz embraced Hinduism, and after the great ceremony of purification was invested with the sacred thread, many of his subjects apostatized with him, and they, as well as all later converts, were also allowed to describe themselves as Kshatriya. They have their own Brahmanas who are said to be descendants of Brahmanas who originally immigrated by Manipuri women.
Yeah, so this is so this is not the first time in history that somebody was invested with a sacred thread. This is Garib Nawaz, who's basically born in a Muslim family. But there are many Shuddhikaran. Shuddhikaran means there are many, types of, many incidences of people becoming purified and entering into Brahminical life, Kshatriya life. Because Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, all three can receive sacred thread. So there have been many instances in the past. The organized religion is highlighted more because it gained popularity. Otherwise, privately, many such things happened. Also, during the rule of Chhatrapati Shivaji, he brought back many people, on the path. Because once you became a Muslim, you converted, and what's the way back? So there were many Shuddhikaran, many processes of Shuddhikaran, bringing people back on the path of Brahminical life. And institutions just did it on a broader scale. That's all. Right.
So a small follow-up. Will if someone receives the Gayatri mantra and he doesn't receives Upanayan, so will he be considered a Brahmana? Or
ladies don't receive the thread, but they receive Gayatri mantra. So they are considered as
talking about gents? And they also.
So if they receive, for gents, they have to receive Upanayan, the sacred thread. Why will somebody receive Brahma Gayatri without receiving Upanayan?
Not if Kam Gayatri and
those are not
Gopal
Vedic.
mantras,
These are not Vedic. Those are Tantric Gayatris. They don't require you to have Upanayan. There's a difference between Gayatri originating from Veda, Brahma Gayatri, Gayatri originating from Tantras. Gayatri originating from Tantras doesn't require you to have a sacred thread. The reason why sacred thread is given is for Brahma Gayatri. The other Gayatris don't require a sacred thread. Brahma Gayatri requires sacred thread because Vedic Gayatri requires sacred thread. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. So next we have Damodar Leela Mataji. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Prabhuji, my question is, you were saying that acharyas would say that, do any limb of bhakti, but also add kirtan to it. So, what like I wanted to just get some examples of that kirtan. Is it one like whether it is in the Nama Kirtan, Rupa, Guna, Leela Kirtan, like all of those, and also is it like just you sing yourself, or you is the component of telling others also as part of that kirtan? So when Acharyas say add kirtan, could you just elaborate a little bit more, like so that we have some practical examples that we should do that?
All right. So Acharyas say, especially Srila Jiva Goswami has specified in the Bhakti Sandarbha that kirtan basically, is supposed to be done along with other limbs of bhakti, especially in Kali Yuga. Also in Rag Vartma Chandrika, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has also made the same point. I will quickly highlight what he has said in Rag Vartma Chandrika so that it becomes very clear to us. Yeah, I'm sharing my screen and I will show what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. He says, Atra raganugayam yan mukhyasya tasyapi smaranasya kirtan adhinatvam avashya vaktavyam eva. It is right now in front of us. Raganuga. In Raganuga Bhakti, mukhyasya smaranasya, main limb is smaran in Raganuga Bhakti. But kirtan adhinatvam avashyam vaktavyam. We should always say that it is under kirtan. And what is the reason? He says, kirtanasya eva etad yugadhikaratvat. And because kirtan has the yuga adhikar, it is currently prescribed for this current age, Kali Yuga. Therefore, kirtan should always be performed besides all limbs of bhakti that we are performing. Any particular type of kirtan, especially Nam Kirtan, Rupa Kirtan, Guna Kirtan, Leela Kirtan. Any particular type of kirtan in Kali Yuga is beneficial, but special stress is given upon Nam Kirtan. So we can perform Nam Kirtan anywhere while we are walking, while we are, going somewhere, while we are sitting down, getting up. We can chant the names of Bhagavan which are dear most to us, which is called as Swapriya Nam. So this Kirtan is considered to be the main process. Also telling others about Bhagavan is also Guna Kirtan, Leela Kirtan. That also gets counted as Kirtan. That also gets counted as Yuga Dharma. So any particular singing of Bhagavan's Naam, Roop, Gun, Leela during any activity of the day. And including telling other people about the path, including telling other people about Shri Krishna's qualities, telling them about Shri Krishna Bhakti, that also gets included in the umbrella of Kirtan. Kirtan therefore is considered to be the easiest because it's very easy to perform it at any point of time. So that is the answer to your query. I hope that answer satisfies your query.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next we have Maya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for
I'm sorry, Maya Prabhu. Yeah.
Prabhuji, my question is that you talked about Diksha as a beginning for committing a serious devotional service. Prabhuji, we also hear that our Gaudiya Sampradaya is more of a Siksha Sampradaya. So what does that mean, Prabhuji? What is the difference between Diksha and Siksha Sampradaya?
Our Gaudiya Sampradaya is more of a Shiksha Sampradaya. The stress is more on Shiksha. Why? Because Diksha, the definition includes Shiksha. Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat. The definition was shown, Prabhu. Didn't the definition itself include Shiksha? Please tell me.
No, Prabhu.
No?
In the Diksha, there is a Divya Jnana.
Yeah. So that Divya Gyan is basically receiving Shiksha about transcendental knowledge from a guru. So isn't Shiksha included within the definition of Diksha?
Yes, Prabhu, very much important.
So Therefore, from that point of view, Shiksha has its very special place. But it can never negate Diksha. Diksha has to be there. Because Diksha is what gives Sambandha Gyan, establishes one's relationship with Bhagavan. So that any Shiksha is very good, but it cannot act as a replacement for Diksha. Diksha from a bona fide Vaishnava is of prime importance. So both things are needed. But Shiksha is present within the function of Diksha, and therefore Shiksha assumes its importance because Diksha is dependent upon Shiksha also in that regard. So that is the answer to your query.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Next, we have Sudevi.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, my humble pranams. Thank you very much for your wonderful classes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question was, you were explaining that in the initiation process, there are 5 practices included, like giving mantra, giving name, like that. So if any of one is missing, like if the yajna is missing, is it considered that initiation is not fully complete?
The yajna in initiation, that yajna refers to, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan explains, yajna basically refers to the right to worship Shalagram Shila. Yajna doesn't refer to a fire sacrifice. Yajna refers to the right of worshipping a Shalagram Shila. So, Nam, Tap, Yag, Pundra, Mantra. 5 aspects are there. So, Nam is you get a specific name identifying as a servant of Krishna. Tap, you get that tilak marks, and Pundra, the guru personally puts tilak on the head, and then mantra. So there are 5 aspects of Diksha, and that is called Pancha Samskar. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur used to very much emphasize on Pancha Samskar. We should have Pancha Samskar for Diksha, and we all should try to follow the teachings that Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur has given. Pancha Samskar is considered as Diksha by Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, by previous acharyas. So that is very important. And Yag refers to the eligibility of worshipping Shalagram Shila. So that is the answer to your query, Maharaj.
Okay, thank you very much. But in the case of Shri Dhruva Maharaj and all, they were just given mantra, no? So that is not initiation?
We cannot say that is not initiation. See, initiation can be of various types. Initiation also sometimes happens in a dream. But it is the role of the acharyas to make sure that it is standardized in a way that everybody receives all proper knowledge and instructions. So therefore, this Pancha Samskar, has been recommended by the previous acharyas. I am sharing Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan's Prameya Ratnavali, where he specifies what the Pancha Samskaras are. This is a recommendation by the previous acharyas. Here he says, Tatra Pancha Samskara. He says, now here are 5 samskaras. Yatha Smritav, as it is mentioned in the Smritis. Tapaha Pundram Tatha Nama Mantro Yagascha Panchamaha. First is Tap, Pundra, Nam, Mantra, and Yag. Amihi, these are 5 samskaras. Paramaikanti Hetava. They lead to one-pointedness. But what does Tap mean? Tap previously used to mean in other Vaishnava Sampradaya, this fire branding of symbols on the hand. But he says Harinama Adi Mudra Chapyupalakshate. But it also means marking with Harinam Chandan. So that is also. And what is the meaning of Yag? So Yag, he says, Shala Gramadi Puja tu Yaga Shabdena Kathyate. As I told you, eligibility worshipping of Shaligram is known as Yag. We understand exactly from the previous acharyas what is given. This is the answer to your query, but it's not compulsory that all of this has to be present, otherwise it is incomplete. The main thing is Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat Kuryat Papasya Samshaya. That is Diksha. And any additional factors may be there, that the more the better. And if they are not there, still if the basic 2 factors are there, then also it is Diksha. but recommendations are given by acharyas, so that it is the process is as efficient, as smooth as possible. And you can study under a banyan tree and get knowledge. But recommendation is given by the government to establish a college, have a formal classroom, so that students can study properly. You can study under a banyan tree also. You can get knowledge under a banyan tree. But why do we have some standardization in the sampradaya? So that the process is facilitated. So that is the answer to your query. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next we have Neelachal Chandrika Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
My pranams.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. You had mentioned about Valmiki and Nirgali, that they had done some mistake. Is it mistake or is it aprad or pap?
That is Shri Vallabhacharya's commentary had mentioned it, but he doesn't get into the details of what exact mistake or whether it was aparad or pap. So, but he says that usually they have done all the good activities. One small mistake might have led to taking birth in the womb of taking a lower birth. And you can also see other examples of this in Srimad Bhagavatam. In the 10th canto, there is example of Maharaj Nriga. He did all the good activities, charity, going to places of pilgrimage, but he made one mistake. One mistake, he accidentally ended up donating a cow twice. So that small mistake led him to take birth as a krakalas, as a monitor lizard within a deep well in Dwaraka. So we can't say exactly, at least in the case of Maharaj Nriga, it is mentioned. We can't say in the case of Valmiki what it was, but a small indication is given in the case of Maharaj Nriga. Those who are interested to know how a small mistake can lead to a lower species of life, the practical example of that is given in the history of Maharaj Nriga. And I will point out the chapter number so that those devotees who are interested in reading about something, a very interesting pastime from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, you can hear about the pastime of Maharaj Nriga, 64th chapter of 10th canto. So you can see an example of that in 10th canto, 64th chapter, short chapter, but please, those who are interested, please read carefully how so many pious activities, one mistake and lower birth. So that is how karma plays out its role sometimes. So that is the answer to your query. Right.
Can I ask another question, please? Otherwise, I'll come back.
Yeah.
It's a small one.
Is it a follow-up or a new question?
New question.
All right. So let's wait, Mataji. Let's okay.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Next we have Yadupati Hari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dāmeśvara. Thank you very much for wonderful class. Prabhu, so my question was almost similar to the previous one about Siksha and Diksha. So please correct my understanding. So Diksha means previously, we have to approach some person, some very senior advanced Vaishnava, and we have to get Siksha from them, and we have to get all our questions and everything clarified. And then actually Diksha happens. So
we have, it's not all of our questions. 25% is understood from the Guru. It was mentioned in Upadeshamritam. 25% is understood from the Guru. 25% is understood by associating with other devotees. 25% is understood by self-study. And 25% by the passage of time. So there was a verse quoted in the Upadeshamritam series regarding that division of 25, 25, 25, 25. So the major instructions, the crux of your teaching is taken from the Guru. That 25% is most important. But yeah, please continue.
Yes, Prabhu. So Diksha means before, I should approach a person, I should actually take him as Diksha. That's when he'll start instructing me. And later he will give me Diksha. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so first is Prathama Sadhu Sangha, like Jiva Goswami says, first is initial Sadhu Sangha. First you get some Shiksha from them. You are attracted to the way they are explaining Shastra, how they are putting your faith in Shastra. And then after that, there is a period of mutual checking for 1 year at least. where the disciple also sees the character of the guru sees the character of the disciple, and then they both of them, then they, and the relationship is strengthened through the process of diksha. So that it doesn't happen immediately. It takes some time, because Shastra recommends that the disciple and guru stay with each other and check the temperament in order to find out whether the relationship of guru and disciple can work.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Next we have Saumyajit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. We have come to know that Diksha is she who bestows all transcendental knowledge. But that depends in proportion to the lalasa of the disciples and the ability of the guru to also deliver higher knowledge, right?
Yeah. Because gurus are on various platforms: Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, Uttam Adhikari. And Uttam Adhikari can give knowledge of Shastra and can also resolve all doubts. But the same cannot be done by a Kanishta Adhikari.
So if the present guru does not give us higher knowledge, so we shall, for Shiksha only, for higher knowledge, we shall approach another guru.
Yeah. If the Krishna Bhajanamritam of Sri Narhari Sarkar says that Yadi Tav Alpa Balav, if one's existing gurus are of lesser strength, then one can approach another Shiksha Guru with the permission of the Diksha Guru. I will show you the section from Sri Narhari Sarkar's Krishna Bhajanamritam, because it's important, although it has been shown previously in Upadeshamritam sessions, but I am treating Śikṣāṣṭakam questions as brand new questions, because there are many devotees who are watching it for the first time. I am sharing my screen. Here is Krishna Bhajanamritam of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associate, Sri Narhari Sarkar. He says, Tatra Diksha Guravah Shiksha Guravascha Visheshatah Santi Tayoreva Karyam. Once existing Diksha and Shiksha Gurus are very important, one should respect them and carry out their order. Yadi Tav Alpa Balav, if one's existing Shiksha and Diksha Guru are Alpa Bal, are of less capability, Tathapi, then Anya Mahatam Mukhat Shiksha Vishesham Gyatvapi Guruvedem. You can take Shiksha from another great personality, you bring it back to your existing gurus. So this is the instruction given by the previous acharyas.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have Jai Gauranga Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for the wonderful class. Prabhuji, it was discussed like we have Sanchit Karma and and then we have Kriyaman Karma. So when this devotee takes Diksha, you said that the paps are removed, but still it is observed that due to some past habits, a devotee may continue to commit some sinful activities. So will it be classified as pap or aparad? And
No,
No,
it is classified as aparad, not as pap. Because the aparad for the devotee is Guru Ravagya, to go against the order of the Guru. The Guru had told to follow the path of bhajan. The disciple goes against the teaching of the Guru. Another aparad is Nam aparad. Namno balaryasya hi papa buddhi. On the strength of chanting Bhagwan's Naam, some people take a license to commit forbidden activities. So these all fall under the category of aparad, not under the category of pap. But there are some jaghanya pap. There are some major sinful activities. Killing a child in the womb, murdering somebody. So you can consider them to be on equivalent level of Mahapap, and Bhagwan may decide to give them as Pap, not as Aparad. Ultimately, it is depending upon Bhagwan. Because once we say Vaishnavas don't receive any sinful reaction just after getting initiated, then somebody may take advantage of it and may commit Mahapap. And Mahapap are, for example, killing a child in the 7th month in the womb, or in any month in the womb, or murdering a Brahmana, or murdering any other person, not only a Brahmana, any person. So these are Mahapatak. These are major sins mentioned in Shastra. And so therefore, Bhagwan can make an exception for these Mahapataks. But usually for small forbidden activities, it is not pap, it is aparadha. That is the answer to your query.
With a small follow-up question, like what is the exact difference between pap and aparadha, like in terms of their effects, and like what is the result of pap? For pap, we get the suffering. So what is the result of aparadha?
Aparadha reduces your faith in bhakti. Aparadha reduces your progress on the path. Aparadha fills you with doubts. Aparadha stops your moving ahead. Aparadha curbs your enthusiasm. All these things happen on the path of bhakti due to aparadha. Aparadha makes you think about other devotees with a materialistic mind frame. So these are all the effects of aparadha. Right?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Right. Next we have Mahesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanat Pranams. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for the beautiful class and discussion. Prabhuji, my question is in continuation with other devotees regarding Diksha. So, Prabhuji, basically, like we have two Dikshas, Nama Diksha, first initiation, and then Mantra Diksha, in which we get Gayatris and Brahma Gayatri and all that. So, Prabhuji, like we follow, there are two marg, Bhagavad Marg and Panchratri ki Marg. So, we follow both. And there is one shloka also on Updesha, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Diksha, Purusharan Vidhi Apeksha Nagare, for Nam. So, Prabhuji, if one is following the Bhagavad Marg, Shravan, Kirtan, Smaran, and because Diksha is very much necessary for deity worship and, so for that thing. So, is it possible if one is having a Shiksha Guru, advanced Shiksha Guru, and he has not formally initiated, because Divya Jnanam is the main thing? I hope you are getting my question. So, if you can clarify a little bit about it.
You see, if one is not formally initiated, it means that the Guru has not accepted that person as a disciple. Somebody gives a, instruction casually, we may give instruction to 100 people. But it's a different thing after accepting somebody as a formal disciple. So that formal acceptance of discipleship should be there at least. And in the Vaishnava Sampradayas, the giving of a name is also very important. The name with which one identifies as a servant of Krishna. So, if somebody has accepted us as their disciple, what is the harm in them giving a name? It's a very strange situation when somebody accepts you as their disciple but doesn't give a name. So that indicates hesitation on their part. So it is better to clarify the relationship with such a personality and say, if you have accepted me as your disciple, might as well give a name. And because that is how will I identify what is my identity in this body? Is my identity as I'm just taking your name as an example. Is my identity as Mahesh, or is my identity as some Das of Krishna? That identity needs to be established by the Guru. All right.
So main point is that the acceptance by the Guru as a disciple.
Acceptance means, what there are symptoms of acceptance, isn't it?
Yes.
What is the symptom of acceptance? At least it should give you some name.
Name,
Some naam to chant. So that those things
Yes,
are there, right? Otherwise, acceptance true acceptance has not happened. So
yes. Thank you.
Right?
Hare Krishna.
All right. Next, we have Kamaniya Krishna Prabhu and Kamala Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and our sincere hosts here. So Prabhuji, thank you so much for such a beautiful, enlightening session. As always, I missed the last week's association of yours. So, but my question here is, like, we were discussing about the vasana and the free will. So isn't it a double-edged sword? Like, every time you have to take a conscious decision to not to fall into your attachment towards particular vasana. So it's like telling like there is a drug in front of a drug addict and he's told that you have to choose not to take it. So how are we going to, come out of this cycle of repeated committing the same mistakes, or because of our previous strong attachments to particular thing or activity, etc.
So that is explained, Mataji, in Bhagavad Gita, where 2.59 Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So I'm sharing my screen. You can see on your screen just now. It says Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina. You may stop, the physical body may be stopped from engaging in some activity, but rasavarjam, you cannot stop the taste, the vasana. But rasopi, vasana can also be stopped. How? Param drishtva, if you have some higher vasana. So some higher taste is there. Param rasam drishtva nivartate. That is the way. Otherwise, your mind will keep dwelling upon it. Once the mind keeps dwelling upon it and you are just restricting the physical senses of activity, that is called mithyachar. That is also specified in Gita. Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasasma. So that is specified in the Gita. I will. This is 3.6. Indriyartham vimudatma mithyachara sochyate. One who restrains the senses of action but whose minds dwell on sense objects certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. So let's not become a mithyachar. Let's develop higher rasa. That is the only way of getting rid of lower rasa, lower vasanas. So that is the answer to your query, Mataji. Right. Thank you. Right.
I'm back, Prabhuji.
Oh, wow. Wonderful. Yes. So now we are in good hands, Prabhu. Thank you. Yes.
And how much longer would you like to go? Because I want to respect your time. There's a lot of questions today.
No, a lot of questions, but I also have my Atithi, my dear guest is Param Karuna Prabhu. I want him to take rest at proper time. And so that he's been traveling and I want to be sensitive to his needs, because it will be transgression of my etiquette if I keep him awake. So I would like him to take rest. But we can take
about
one or
how much long? One or two more?
Right? And those devotees whom I could not give, because I think most of these are second time they're asking. So if in case you couldn't ask,
there were some questions in the chat. Have we gotten to those yet?
No.
Okay. All right. So Divyanataya Prabhu asks, does second initiation required for? Boy, I wish these were written nicely. Is second initiation required for everyone? I can't even make.
Okay, let's take another query from Manisha Mataji. Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranams. If I took Diksha from a guru who later fell from his position, do I have to take another Diksha from guru who is properly situated in his position as a guru? Of course, Sri Jiva Goswami mentions that point. Yeah, here it is. I'm sharing my screen where he says in Bhakti Sandarbha, he says, Avaishnavopadishtena mantrena nirayam vrajet punascha vidhina samyak grahayad Vaishnavad guruho. In 207 of Bhakti Sandarbha, he said, if your guru has behaved like an Avaishnava, fallen away, mantrena nirayam vrajet, by his mantra you can fall into a difficult situation in life. Therefore, punascha, again, vidhina samyak, with proper etiquette, grahayed Vaishnavad Guru, approach a Vaishnava Guru and accept the mantra again. This is Sri Jiva Goswami saying in Bhakti Sandarbha that if an existing Guru has fallen away, then you should take initiation again from a Vaishnava. That is the answer to the query posed by Manisha Mataji. Okay. Dhāmeśvara Prabhu? Yeah. Any other? You are muted.
I think that's all the questions that I can make sense of.
Okay, let me try. Can we say
Okay.
that Diksha progresses in proportion of the disciples' lalasa for Divya Gyan and the purity? I think he asked the query online.
Yeah, I just wrote yes.
Yeah, Rishabh Vani Prabhu said, you said Aprarabdha will start destroying with Bhajan Kriya. Then what Bhajan Kriya means? What does Bhajan Kriya mean? 16 rounds of chanting and 4 regulative? No, Bhajan Kriya is the discipline that the Guru gives to us. For Bhajan Riti Nibandhanam. For everybody, it may not be 16 rounds. For somebody, it may be 4 rounds. Somebody, it may be 8 rounds. So depends on somebody, it may be 4 rounds plus half an hour of daily smaran. Somebody, it may be 8 rounds and half an hour of daily smaran and 1 hour of daily reading. Whatever discipline the Guru has given is categorized as bhajan. So that is the meaning of that. Right? Okay. I think we should pause because
probably a good place to end here.
Yeah, because I want to respect the time. I have guests at home today and very special guests. My co-host is at my home today, so I want
That's
to.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful time with your visit. Thank you so much for this wonderful class. I'm very grateful, and I'll invite all the devotees now to unmute and give a big thank you to Hari Parshad Prabhu.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Full session.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Jai Hari Parshad Prabhu ki.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Love you.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Always
Jai.
looking for more.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for being with us.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Krishna Prabhuji. So
Srila
much for
Prabhupada ki
wonderful
jai.
class.
Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you.
Wow, we got music this time. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.